Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, folks of all ages, lizards and reptiles, Jews and Gentiles, come on down, step up, ladies and gentlemen. You're about to behold a sight so strange, so horrifying, so utterly monstrous that I urge you, who are easily frightened or upset, who suffer from nervous disorders, weak hearts, or queasy stomachs, who experience nightmares, and any children under the age of 16 to forego witness this exhibit. There are only two kinds of freaks, ladies and gentlemen, those created by God and those made by man. The creature in this podcast is a living, breathing human being that once was, well, that's another story that happened a long time ago, a long way from here. Look if you must at Patrick Wall and the Delete Everything podcast.
Yay! Hey everybody, welcome back to Delete Everything with me, Patrick Wall, and here with me, Patrick Wall.
With me is
I am Patrick Wall.
I am is.
With me always is Patrick Wall.
Always am is.
With me also at this particular moment is my co-host.
Me is Riley Bowen.
me is Riley Bowen. Oh God. Yeah, we're back. We're back.
We're back, baby.
We're back, baby. We had to take a little bit of time off, but you guys won't notice because I think we're gonna launch this thing technically today.
Yeah,
so
this is the official launch podcast, which is gonna be fun, I think, for you guys because when you
well, we won't launch this episode today.
I know, but like when you hear us say that this is our launch episode, you'll have had the chance to listen to our other ones,
hopefully,
and you will notice the immense improvement in sound quality and research.
Yes. Speaking of which, every once in a while, Riley really takes a shining to a topic, and he just jumps right in on the research, which traditionally is like my job. But this is one of those.
Usually it's just Pat bringing it to me and being like, "Oh, that's crazy."
I got funny stuff. Just be ready to react to it. But yeah, so he dove right in, and then like I had barely done any research, and I was like, I've only got like 2 days to fucking put all the show notes together and stuff. And Riley's like sending me screenshots of like, or like photos of his like list of stuff to cover.
I read 2 books. I read 2 books.
And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to let Riley take point. And I'm going to have an easy week. So yeah, we're full disclaimer. We are going to, I guess
we're going to talk about,
we're talking about circus freaks, sideshow oddities.
Let's get this very clear. We're talking about freaks in the standard definition of freaks as circus sideshow performer,
not in the Korn definition of freak on a leash. Which is how John Davis was
We're not
feeling.
trying to find someone to match our freak. All right.
What I found is that nobody will match my freak.
We will not be discussing the Fabulous Freak Brothers. Like, this is.
So yeah, just like please don't at us. If you hear, freak or yes, these people are physically deformed, and some of them I imagine I don't know your whole list if I'm being honest.
Yeah,
there may be some mentally challenged people.
There are indeed
in the mix here. We're gonna make jokes. We're not making fun of those people. We're gonna make jokes more on the end of like what.
So listen,
we're trying to have some empathy and like
we'll be making
jokes.
And
figure out how these people, what their lives were like.
My disclaimer on this is that a good portion of what we're going to talk about is horrific. It is completely, unforgivable human abuses.
Great,
of
that's always
people.
Fun to make jokes around.
Yeah, because they look funny.
Next week. Let's do the bombing of Hiroshima. Ha 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 ha.
Oh, God.
She watched her whole family get crushed under a house and burnt to death. Isn't that funny?
Oh, hey, we can still make jokes. You don't have to be that serious.
I know.
I'm just saying, like, when we talk about like this is ostensibly a history podcast, and I wanted to do something that was well researched and actually reflects a little bit onto the human condition.
Mm-hmm.
And there is, I think, no better story than the arc.
Do you not think that our fad diets episode covered that well enough?
I mean, that was good history. It's fun.
It was definitely reflected on the human condition.
Yeah, piss cabbage.
We all want to be skinny. Look at the dumb shit we're willing to do. Drink cabbage piss.
If you get somebody to geek for your sideshow, they'll drink the cabbage piss for you.
Oh my God, Jesus.
But no, like throughout human history, there's been like a fascination with different people. Anything from like different cultures or just the way different Are you drinking out of a fucking like a gallon jug? What was that? Sounded like a ship in the ocean.
There's a giant block of ice in here.
Jesus Christ!
I tried to do it kind of away from the mic so it wouldn't catch it, but then I realized that all of the ice cubes have just become a glacier in there, and so when I set it back down, it just all clonked right to the bottom. So I'm sorry, but I'm going to do it again now.
Okay, all right. Well, anyway, so with the
You can't make that sound if you don't want me to spit take all over the studio.
Okay. Throughout human history, the fascination with human oddities, birth defects, different people in general has driven a lot of different economies. There's entire cultures that have thrived specifically on people's like need and desire to go see weird shit. That is your tourism, but there's all of circus performers.
You paid me $5 yesterday to see my foreskin.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. It was so pointy and weird.
Just wasn't the lack of circumcision that got me. It was just the sheer amount of foreskin.
It's such as
when like a really large person loses a lot of weight in a small amount
Ladies
of time.
and gentlemen, step right up. The incredible uncircumcised Pat.
It's all skin.
The crazy thing is that, yeah, okay, so people are fascinated with deformities or birth defects or, anything like that, dwarfism, giantism, big or little, it doesn't matter. Anything that's not just a 5'7" person is like people are freaked out about. And like there's your language right there. But they also, to the point of like not just looking for honest ones, they would create some, they would manifest some, they'd have people overeat or undereat to gain different sizes. Like
Jesus.
Carnivals throughout time have been traditionally places of like pretty horrific human abuse.
Oh, for sure.
But it didn't just start with carnivals. Like we're talking like back into antiquity, it would be like
dog and pony shows.
Very, very much so,
Become a Patreon member and you will dude, I didn't do the thing. Oh man, I'm gonna have to insert it.
I was just about to do the thing. I was just about to launch into it. So it was perfect timing.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it? Speaking of which, guys,
I said back into antiquity, which, you know me, that's in the before times, in the long ago, and then the mist rolls in.
So the dog and pony show was an allusion to one of our Patreon short episodes. It's, like I said, we took a little break, so my ordering of things in my brain is kind of off. But yes, if you guys have not yet, please, we cannot ask you enough. Go onto Apple Podcasts. Go on to, I don't know what other ones have like actual like rating systems, but Apple Podcasts is a really good one because that is it drives everything. That's how we know how popular we are. That's how we know if we're going to get sponsors, et cetera, et cetera. So
write a letter to your senator, your city council.
If you can go on, if you like the show, please give us 5 stars. If it makes you write something in there, I don't know if you have to actually type a little why are you giving it 5 stars, which I've never understood. Just give us the 5 stars.
Give us 5 stars on Amazon. We're not on there.
If you have to, we are going to be on Amazon.
Well, are we?
We'll be on Amazon.
Oh, they've got Amazon Music. Oh yeah. I was thinking like as a purchase thing. We'll have a store pretty soon.
Yeah, we're on Amazon Music and all that stuff. So anyway, but I don't. Does Spotify do that? Because I have Amazon Music. That's like what I use.
I don't know. It's like a like system. I don't know if you can rate them. I don't think that's much of a thing.
So Apple Podcasts is the big one. That's sort of the algorithm that drives everything. And if you could take a moment from your day and do that, it helps us out so much. I promise, we won't ask much of you. This is one of the very few things. Another thing that it's more of a soft sell on this one, but we do have Patreon. We are going to be putting out weekly short episodes, 30-40-minute episodes that are just sort of fun. They're a little more conversational.
Yeah, they're like raw and unedited too.
Yeah,
so
they're a little more loosey-goosey.
You need to hear us be like savagely racist or just cruel.
I don't think we've been savagely racist, have we?
No.
Oh God, I hope not.
I don't think so. I don't know. Of course not. But it's unedited, so some of the jokes are a little off color.
They're slightly edited just for clipping,
so you can hear the dog walking.
Yeah, exactly.
My dog in the studio.
The dog
all
walking
the time,
around, or the cat meowling at me.
Snap Fix is just like, fuck me.
Yeah. or dead air because I didn't pull up the fucking page on my laptop that I was supposed to. And I'm just like, oh fuck, hold on. Click.
Next week on Patreon, we're releasing a 30-minute episode that is just the sound of my cat trying to get fucked.
But we are going to do like a Q&A at some point. We're going to try and do those fairly regularly. We have some other really cool Patreon ideas. We'll pitch a lot of this all at the end of the show. So
I'm going to do a
later.
TNA eventually, but it'll be on a different website.
Hell yeah. I don't have a joke for it, but so that's the pitch.
The joke? What was it? That was the joke.
I don't know. It was going to be an OnlyFans or something.
That's what it is. That was the joke.
I know, but I was going to go.
You're killing the energy here.
That's my job, baby. So yeah, hop in, man. Let's talk about some fucking freaks.
But to distinguish specifically, all right. So like, freak is a term that can be used in a derogatory way. In the way that we're going to use it throughout this is a performative way, because the sideshow performer or the freak performer is not the person that's on the stage doing the freak thing. Yeah. Right? Like you'll have examples, like a real quick one is like Cuckoo the Bird Girl. Cuckoo the Bird Girl you saw in the movie Freaks that we watched recently. She was dressed in a weird bird outfit, had crazy glasses, shaved her head, and walked around and went like a bird. Totally normal person. Just looked a little funny. Yeah. You know, so she'd be exhibited the whole time as like a freak. And then she'd just change her clothes and like go about her day. Like,
put on a wig and just people
she'd go to the store and shit. She's a fucking not a very good looking lady, but like whatever. Yeah.
We're using it in that way, not like the high school football quarterback making fun of the kid with the chain wallet and the mohawk.
Benny Gesserit turned me into a freak.
See, that's what you think. I always think Grandma's Boy scene where JP comes to Alex's house and is like crying because all the people at the game studio like make fun of him. He's like, they think I'm a freak. And the big glob of spit comes out of his mouth.
Yeah, of course, the classical definition would just be freak of nature. You know, an unusual thing or occurrence or you know, artifact, essentially.
Like the shit you just took.
I did not actually. It was a false alarm. So that was a bit of a freak.
Wow. I'm not going to match that freak.
So, starting off, I thought it would be good to immediately address dwarves and dwarfism, because this is a topic that I think is a really interesting one. Yeah, I know.
You've got a soft spot as a short guy.
Fucking say it.
You've got a soft spot as a short guy.
Yes, as a short man.
It's okay.
You know, listen.
You would have made like a sick, like Tolkien style dwarf. You would have been.
Yeah, you know, that's actually when I was.
I feel like you would have been
about a year ago ish
in the halls of Khazad-dûm, just fucking getting it.
Malt beer. My cousin Bob give us a royal welcome. But about a year ago, I've always gone with Hobbit because I've always been kind of a little chubby guy, and people have always been like, "Yeah, Hobbit." I had one friend who just called me a Hobbit. That was his thing.
Wow.
What's up, you fucking Hobbit? Fuck.
Sounds like some dick.
Well, he's dead, so what are you gonna do? Ha.
Was he tall?
Kinda.
That probably is what killed him.
No, it was drug abuse. But but about a year ago, I was working in Massachusetts, and I was doing this gig. You're digging by hand this like gigantic trench to do this thing, and Massachusetts is filled with just rocks and ore, and specifically where we were digging was just strewn with boulders. So like I was just there all day with a pickaxe, just crushing it. And like one of my coworkers referred to me.
I wish I could have been there.
One of my coworkers referred to me as a hobbit because they knew me from back some time ago. And one of the guys from the Massachusetts office is like, "Hobbit, look at him. That's a fucking dwarf lord."
Dwarf activities.
And I was like, he's like, "I promote you, dwarf lord."
Does that come with a pay raise?
No, it doesn't. You work harder. Dig hole. Dig hole and covet gold.
Hey.
But of course, I have a soft spot, but I also like can't compare my experience as a shorter guy to the experience of being someone with dwarfism. That's a very particular experience.
Yeah, you're certainly not.
Yeah, and then also
that short.
Also, a very difficult experience in general, aside from just like your basic, getting shit out of cabinets, I guess. But like, just I think that is it's a
smallish trifle probably out of all of them.
Yeah, absolutely. But like Finding your own human dignity in a world that's like
That's
dedicated
not built
to
for you, yeah.
making you a mockery is pretty fucking horrifying.
Yeah.
Like Peter Dinklage from Game of Thrones is pretty staunchly on record is like, I don't want to play like funny dwarfs. Like that's not my shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can get.
It's like because I'm a grown
he's
man
and a great actor.
Yeah, I'm a fucking grown man. I'm a skilled actor. I don't want to just play fucking
Yeah.
Like I think
Yeah,
if he plays if he plays a dwarf, it's something really cool. So he did like Herv Villachez from Fantasy Island.
Well, he also was. I'm sure he got. There was some catharsis behind his role in the movie Elf.
Yeah,
where he was the fucking dwarf that loathed.
Call me Elf one more time.
Yeah, exactly. That like loathed fucking people doing that, and I would imagine that resonated with a lot of that community for sure.
Yeah, I really liked. He did a turn as Cyrano de Bergerac. If you're familiar with the French playwright Edmond Rostand's famous Cyrano de Bergerac, is about a badass sword fighter who had a big crazy nose, and felt really like embarrassed and like undignified about that. And
but apparently got mad bitches.
Well, yeah, but not the ones he wanted.
Oh.
No, actually, I mean, kind of didn't get mad bitches. Really,
Did he not?
That was kind of the thing. He was really shy and like he was like funny.
Oh, I thought he got
was
mad bitches.
Funny and hilarious and dangerous sword fighter and like the best, but like he was so not confident because of his nose that he didn't get bitches. And Peter Dinklage,
I want to see that nose because I got a big nose.
right? Peter Dinklage. I mean, dude, there's a great movie. Jose Ferrer did a black and white movie. You should check it out. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm familiar with what you're
But
talking about.
Dinklage's take on it was as a dwarf, and it meshes perfectly because it's like this guy is fucking handsome, he's dangerous, he's talented, but he just doesn't have confidence because the world looks at him in this weird way.
Right.
Fucking right. None of that's really here nor there, but I just wanted to say that because that has historically always been the case with people with dwarfism. Is like they're looked at as funny.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, funny little guys.
For sure.
Funny little guys and gals.
I remember I had a friend growing up who would absolutely just lose his mind if he saw someone with dwarfism and just start screaming midget and cackling.
Which is inaccurate, by the way. We've mentioned on the podcast before, a midget is a well-proportioned person under 5 feet tall.
It's correct proportions.
A dwarf is
small.
Someone with the condition dwarfism.
Right, which means the limbs and all the things that come when you see somebody that traditionally one would call a midget is someone with dwarfism.
Yeah, exactly, and it's a stupid mistake to make because dwarf is actually just a cooler title.
We're allies.
Yes, indeed we are. But I wanted to bring that up because it's a marginalized people and they don't really get their fucking due. It's a bunch of bullshit.
Well, fucking.
But
hit me
also,
with it, Dad.
the first person on our list in the freak history I wanted to talk about is a gentleman named Jeffrey Hudson. Mm-hmm. Jeffrey Hudson lived from 1619 to 1682. Okay. Jeffrey
We're
Hudson.
going way back, huh?
Oh yeah, this is like a start. This is a start because it's a cool fucking story.
Okay.
And also between the 1600s to the 1900s is where we're gonna find what I would call freakomania. Like it is an absolute worldwide obsession with oddities.
It sounds like the next Korn album.
Freakomania on Alicia
Or the
Mania.
next ICP album probably would be more accurate. Please go on. I'm sorry.
Is that magnet shit they say? So how did they work?
How do they work? Yeah, it's in the song Miracles.
I just love how quickly you had that. So do with magnets. How do they work?
I've done a deep dive on the lyrics of that song.
Being from Detroit,
if you've never looked up the lyrics, you've never looked up the lyrics to the Insane Clown Posse song Miracles, just do yourself a favor.
I've met the Insane Clown Posse.
Yeah,
and also their disciples, Twisted.
Wait, what are their names? Something J.
So Violent J.
Violent
and,
J.
The other one.
And Fat Guy.
Yeah. Fat J. they're both J. But like, dude, like when I was growing up in high school, like my high school guys were like the first like Insane Clown Posse. What are they called? The Juggalos. Mm-hmm. So we got like the first wave coming from Detroit. Like they lived in the area. They were drinking Faygo and shit. Like
gross.
Yeah. Dude, I knew these guys. There were people I went to school with that were like pretty normal and then became juggalos in high school. And I was like, holy shit, this is
like
weird.
the face paint and everything?
Yeah, fucking weird. Yeah,
wow.
the hair and the whole, the Janko jeans, the whole deal.
Yeah. Those are making a comeback.
Yes.
Gross.
But in any case, Jeffrey Hudson was a court dwarf, which is one of the big topics of
Court?
Court.
Court.
C-O-U-R-T.
I thought you said
he's
court, like a measurement.
dwarf. So like not like a jester,
Uh-huh.
but he was as a pet to the queen, the English queen Henrietta Maria of France. So
You said the English queen.
she's an English queen, but she's from France.
Oh, okay,
they did
okay.
that a lot back then.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
So like she was presented with Jeffrey Hudson, who was only like 6 or something, in a pie. They used to do this shit where they like bake like blackbirds into pies and stuff, and then like cut the pie and wow.
There's an old
Be a cold pie. It wasn't like they'd cook them.
right, no, there's an old
420 blackbirds.
420 blackbirds in a pie.
Yeah, but like so Jeffrey Hudson was in a pie presented to this like
Nursery rhyme. That's the word.
nursery. That's the one. Old Mother Goose. It was in his pie presented to like the teenage queen, and he like came out. He's wearing a suit of armor
At 6?
at like 6. Yeah, he's this performative like he like
Some castle armorer
got-
was probably so pissed off.
yeah, but he's like a special prize because he's being presented to her as a pet.
Wow.
This is now Queen Henrietta's pet dwarf, Jeffrey. Yes, and he's a funny little guy, and they're best friends. And he'd like ride her dog around and shit, and like
Did the dog have a suit of armor too?
no.
See, that's
no,
what
but,
I'm
like,
saying. The
I'm telling
armorer
you,
was
like,
probably pissed. He's like, I don't have to make suits of armor for cats.
like okay, so all of his siblings, all of his siblings and his parents were all like of normal proportions,
Okay.
right? He was very very small, but also well proportioned, so you could be referred to as a midget.
Okay.
But he had a growth hormone deficiency caused by pituitary gland disorder, so he always looked like a small child, right? And over the years, as he was, presented as this like rare creature that she could have as like a monkey, essentially.
Jesus Christ.
He was sold.
I don't like this.
Dude, he was sold to this royal court. Like this is how that worked, but over time, like she was very fond of him.
Yeah.
Right? So he became like a family member. They stopped treating him more like an oddity thing. Although there'd always be like exhibitions and shit where, he would like joust with a dog or fucking, like there's some shit like there's some like
This
funny
just
like.
keeps getting worse.
Look, this is the funny one.
Oh. Yay. I mean, it keeps getting more hilarious.
But like he was.
And at least he had arguably a cool life in the 1600s in France. He could have been out in the streets, just.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's very, very true. And that's actually, that's a big point with a lot of circus and sideshow performing things too, is like, in the right context, this is this like horrifying, indentured servitude.
Well, yeah. I mean, in any other world, probably he would be, living in pre-revolution France, where
exactly, or
you're just insanely poor in the streets while the
he's
aristocracy is living it up.
Mud and shit. Anyway, yeah. Well, so Jeffrey Hudson's given the opportunity to grow in a royal court,
Okay.
like for his youth. So there's like multiple paintings of this guy. He's very famous, mostly in France, but like hugely famous and influential figure because as he grew with the royal court, he became like a family member to the point of like going to battle with them. Like there's
That's okay.
like so first off he's in the family and he's kind of lumped in with like he's got a couple other dwarf pets that are there or like a pet monkey or he's just kind of looped in, but he's clever and he's smart and he learns and he takes classes and he learns languages and he court stuff so that he can become more courtly. He's gentlemanly in a lot of ways. Yeah, he might look like a small child, but he's got all the manners and dignity. At the very least, demanding the respect of like polite society because you have to be polite to my face because I'm doing all this stuff. Right? So he's wearing tailored clothes. He has elaborate costumes and stuff like that. Bunch of portraits. Then
what were the costumes?
I mean, just like they dress him up like an imp, or they put like a mask on him. Or he had like this, like the beautiful embroidered like floral capes and shit, stuff
Just
like the
hot dog costume.
Yeah, exactly. Hot dog.
They're riding a dog around the court.
Wiener on a wiener.
That's another Patreon fun Patreon episode. Hot dogs.
That is.
Kind of get in on that one.
Really plugging the Patreon, isn't it?
It's fun.
But in any case, so Jeffrey spent his whole life coming up with new ways to be more valuable or respected, you know,
Okay.
to the point that the queen like would see him even as like a brother rather than a pet, you know, and the entire royal family really thought of him as just one of them, to the point that he even got positions at court. He'd be allowed to sit at the family table.
Okay.
You know, like he would host people at
So
dinners.
he made the most of it.
He made the most of it.
I got it.
Exactly. The reports are that he rode in on some cavalry raids
Okay.
and like actually like was in battle when he was older in his later teen years, to the point that he got elevated to master of horse. Like he had a real court position.
Really?
Yeah, it was like a big deal. And he was young too. He was only like 20-ish.
Okay.
Right? So even with all this, he was still, you know, insulted, belittled,
Of course.
things like that. But one point, somebody was so flippant to him that he challenged them to a duel,
Okay.
right, which was outlawed at the time. But he was a man, God damn it, and a man of the royal court.
Okay.
So he got in a duel with this guy and shot this man in the face.
Wowzers.
As a result, Geoffrey was then kicked out of court. He was exiled from France entirely.
Yeah. Okay.
So
From the whole country.
So the whole thing. So
Wow.
in 1644, age 25 years, right? Like he is exiled from the country. Now this is somebody who's got a commission. He's got money. He's got fabulous dress. He's got
Oh, so
court
he was getting
orders.
paid?
Well, I mean, he had all this. He was getting paid for being master of horse, so
Okay.
he's got like his pension,
All right.
right? And he's gonna go make the best of it out on the lamb, right?
Okay. The court treasurer was like, I don't have to pay the fucking cats. I'm sorry. I feel like I got to really milk this bit for everything.
That's not
it's worth.
bad. That's not bad. That's a good callback. I'm into that. They had to make him tiny little coins. Like, I want a purse I can change.
Oh my God.
But this is a man. Goddamn, he's killed a man in a duel. It's
I mean, yeah.
it's way more badass than anything
Killed
I've
more
done.
people than me.
He has fought people in battle. But so in 1644, on a ship heading south into the African territories, Hudson was enslaved in North Africa by Barbary pirates, where he spent perhaps his next 25 years laboring.
Wait, this sounds like Tyrion Lannister from Game of Thrones.
Oh, I wonder if fucking maybe George R. R. Martin stole a couple of things from history.
Yeah, I mean the timeline is a little off, but yeah, I see it. I see it all. Okay.
So yeah, he's captured. Unfortunately, we don't really know much about his enslavement or his capture or his rescue. Even that's, you know, there were some missions in the 1660s sent from England to like Algeria and Tunisia to get various English captives, and his first documented presence was in 1669. Somebody was like, "Hey, the Queen's fucking dwarf is in North Africa being forced to dance by pirates or some shit."
Jesus
You know?
Christ.
Which is like the craziest thing, because like if you imagine anyone in that situation, that's insane. But somebody who's already battled their whole life to like find the dignity inherent
I mean,
in their position.
that's wild.
Yeah, like yeah, what a fucking movie that would be, right?
Yeah.
So he comes back to England. He's ransomed in one of these many different raids and trades, right?
Okay.
He comes back. The queen had passed away.
His
His queen, yeah.
I didn't know how to word it that didn't sound terrible.
His queen, the Henrietta.
The one he was gifted to.
Yes. So she was. She was kind of exiled after like the Civil War and Revolution, and then Geoffrey lived in Oakham, England for several years, and he made like a short record of his life, and then he returned to London to seek a pension from the royal court. He had the misfortune of arriving at a time of turbulent anti-Catholic activity, which included the Popish plot, which was like the gunpowder treason. And he was imprisoned for a considerable time at the Gatehouse prison because he was a Roman Catholic, and that was his only offense. But he wasn't released until 1680, and then he died a couple years later. So this motherfucker had this like ridiculous storied career, and this is all his whole life is just based on the fact that he was an oddity. right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
But then if you want to switch to a different a dwarf in history who had a much more prevalent like cultural impact and more fun.
You know what?
Huh.
I do.
I want to talk about a guy that was known for a long time as General Tom Thumb. You ever heard of this particular?
Yeah, Tom Thumb. Yeah.
And it, not like there's like a nursery rhyme for that too.
There is.
But this is one of P.T. Barnum's big acts.
Okay.
You know, and for those.
But I think he was named Tom Thumb after the nursery rhyme.
He was absolutely. But he was, and he would often say that he was actually given the title General by Queen Victoria of England.
Was that bullshit or was that real?
Well, that's fucking hard to tell because the one of the things that you'll hear researching Freaks and Sideshows is like that you can't trust the history.
Okay.
You know, like everything's embellished. Everyone's got at least one autobiography that was written by somebody else. Everybody's got like different records of this and that.
Of course.
P.T. Barnum himself has wrote his own life story like 5-6 different times. They're all wildly different. You know. There's only one that's probably even remotely true, and that's the one that says all the shit that he, like, mean shit that he did. Yeah.
About P.T. Barnum.
Yeah, P.T. Barnum was a real fucking
for sure.
bastard, dude. Like,
For sure.
The Greatest Showman stuff, that is nonsense. He was a monster.
Of course.
But he also was really fucking funny and, like, fun to be around and creative. And he found this gentleman, Charles Sherwood Stratton, born in 1838, found him when he was 4 years old. Much like Jeffrey Hudson, he was well-proportioned, though a little more on the dwarfism side.
Yeah,
and
I'm looking at a photo of him right now, yeah.
Like you could definitely see dwarfism inherent in his features, but he's not a bad-looking guy. Like he's just very small.
No, he just looks like a little kid.
Yeah, and particularly small as well. You know, as I understand, the same deal with Jeffrey Hudson.
Okay.
So P.T. Barnum picks him up when he's 4. Kind of buys him from his parents, but his parents sort of tag along as like... managers or something to like keep the facade of him not being property.
Okay.
Right? But the thing with Charles Stratton is he was fucking hilarious. Like he's courtly and interesting and fun. He's not just some oddity, he's an act.
Okay.
Right? So at 6 years old, he's in Queen Victoria's court with P.T. Barnum doing shit like fucking like dueling the dog or doing little song and dance routines or making funny quips or fucking like there's a bit in this great book called The Wonders by is it Jonathan Wolfe?
Okay.
Yeah, John Wolfe. Really, really cool book. It's called The Wonders, Lifting the Curtain on the Freak Show Circus in Victorian Age. Okay. Where he talks about P.T. Barnum and 6-year-old Jeffrey Hudson, who's being presented as like a 20-year-old. You know, he's so like this little 6-year-old is acting properly like an older gentleman.
Interesting.
Because he's got like an innate talent, right? Okay. And they do this bit where, you know, you're not supposed to turn around to leave when you're leaving the court. You got to face the queen and like back out. Right? So they did a bit like, and this is all like shit that they would do like impromptu because P.T. Barnum and Tom Thumb had this like great like rapport. Okay. Fucking... Like P.T. Barnum would be like backing out, bowing, and Tom would be doing the same thing. And you know, obviously P.T. Barnum's legs are a lot longer, so he'd get a lot more with the strides. So, you know, Tom Thumb would like bow, and then look back and go ooh, and then turn around and like run up to him real, and then turn back around and bow. Like that's a good bit. You know, so the idea there is that Queen Victoria said that he should add general to his moniker to like incite more, because she was then like a favorite of his. All right. And this became one of the most popular performers in the world. He toured everywhere. Thousands of people came to his wedding. You know, like he was well known at court. He met presidents, and it was all just based on the fact that he was a small person, but he acted like a big person. Okay. That was his whole shtick. And to the opposite of Jeffrey Hudson, he didn't get offended or offensive or angry or aggro with his position, but he's also known to have like a profound sadness attached to him that he would never like move on beyond like the confines of his stature. Okay. Right. But in general, like he lived a long-ish life. He lived until he was like 50. Okay. 46 or something. But he lived a decent amount of time and then died wealthy. And that's pretty much that. Those are the two different like settings for like a famous dwarf in the past.
I was kind of like, while we were talking about it, I was kind of like looking at some stuff on Tom Thumb, and I was going to say early on, us talking about specifically the P.T. Barnum and Tom Thumb stuff. You know, I think one of the things that makes me so, I guess, kind of bristly talking about this subject is that most of these people, and I guess Tom Thumb's an anomaly here, didn't get fucking paid shit.
Yeah. No, Tom Thumb is a massive anomaly.
Yeah.
He actually was able to...
And I think that's the thing that really like
That's exactly, yeah.
gets me a little chapped.
If you look at the discrepancy between the Victorian age of freaks, you know, talking like sideshows and things like... So that, like in the Victorian era, they would manufacture freaks all the time.
Right.
You'd have things like... they would like do what's called gaffing, where if somebody had like a tumor or something, they'd like put a little face on it and be like, oh, he's got another head growing out of his neck or something. Or they had these,
What the fuck?
yeah, there'd be these like, gaffing freaks is like a whole interesting
you got
topic.
a goiter with a face on it.
There'd be some shit like, there was a run of these things, it'd be these sideshows, just random sideshows in the mud in England, just in fucking down some alleyway. Yeah, come on, governor, come see the pig-faced lady. But like there was this run of freaks called pig-faced ladies, and it would be a bear that they had shaved and put like a fucking babushka on in like a dress.
Oh my god.
They're like, yeah, no, that's just a woman.
Yeah.
You know.
Just a woman.
Fucking this woman eats your child
Yeah, right?
in the dumpster.
Fucking poor bear. God.
But yeah, like they'd gaff freaks all the time. It'd be like there was like corpulence shows that would just like the fattest guy you ever saw. There was like some of the recorded like fat men of. I did air quotes on the radio.
You did. We've both we've both been guilty of it.
One of the recorded fat men was I can't remember his name, but he was like renowned for saying that I never eat more than a regular person. I fucking eat one meal a day, you know, and drink water. I'm healthy. Don't get it. But he was like 600 pounds.
Jesus.
And of course he was eating fucking everything. He was eating like everything in the world. He's fat as shit. But he was like, no, I'm just totally normal.
I mean, is that confirmed? Is that
yeah,
real?
100%.
Oh,
No,
okay.
he was a showman. Like he wrote his own biography. He was one of those guys.
I got you.
You know, like so many of these performers, one of the things about the sideshow is that you could make your own income despite being a fucking weirdo.
Right.
You know, like the fattest man on earth, it's going to be hard for you to get out there and get a day job. But if you're paying people to come see you and you get like,
you might not be the fattest man on earth anymore though if you get the right day job. You know, go work for the postal service.
At a certain point, it's foregone.
Yeah,
You're
right,
like
no,
you're not getting a fucking postal service job.
Just walking around delivering mail, you get 3 houses down. You're like, oh god.
In like the 20s, and I want to make this a big discrepancy in like America in the 1900s versus like America and England in the 1800s. Wildly different conditions for sideshow performers. But in like the 1920s or 30s, there was one of like the fat women in the sideshows named Baby Ruth, and she worked her ass off. I mean, not so much, but like she like worked really hard to not get into sideshow performing. Like she would like be like a secretary or something.
Oh really?
You know, but it was like unfortunately, you can't fit in the office. Like fuck. Like what do you know?
She big lady.
Yeah.
I got you.
And genetically, like her mom was like that, and like her mom was a sideshow performer, and she's like, I don't want to do it. I want to be a normal person.
Right.
And at a certain point, they're just like, listen, you're gonna break the floor. Like you gotta fucking get out of here.
Oh no.
And then she's like, fine, I'll do it. And then she started running with sideshows and had like a lucrative career.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
That happened with lots of people, but that's after. We'll get into it, but it's like after the fall of like the human zoo oddity.
Mm-hmm.
At a certain point, there was like almost like a workers' union, workers' rights kind of association associated with sideshow performers.
Right.
But I'll get there.
Well, that movie Freaks was, I think, very instrumental.
That's hugely instrumental, actually. There's a turning point. 1932 is when Freaks came out. There's a turning point when that movie comes out. That's like, oh, this is a respectable people.
Yeah.
You know?
Or just, they're people.
Oh, people. Hey, people that will fucking turn you into a chicken lady. Look out.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, the curse of the freak though. Like that's
the end of that movie it wasn't necessarily an easy watch, not because the subject matter isn't very interesting and the story wasn't very interesting, because it was just watching sort of a jumpy old black and white film from the 30s is
kind of tough. If you're not
always a little tough.
If you're not already like a big fan of that movie, it's a little bit of a rough watch. But something I noticed on this past rewatch, You never see the audience. You only see the freaks. The freaks and the sideshow performers.
Yeah, you're right.
You're never introduced to their act.
Yeah.
You're just behind the scenes the whole
Just
time.
at the beginning, you see the one lady, the scandalous ass bitch that's all fucking everybody.
Oh, what's her name? Is she riding a horse or some shit? She's fucking.
Is she riding
demon,
a horse or
whatever
doing a
the fuck
trapeze thing or
she
something?
Sucks,
I can't
whatever.
remember. She does suck.
Little bitch. They tried to Google gobble her. Fuck. Lame. But yeah, like so, like manufacturing freaks is the whole thing. Tom Thumb was just a kid. He's a tiny little kid, and he was manufactured into this like rich, elegant, worldly kind of like performer.
Right.
And then that's like one of P.T. Barnum's big things. Like if there wasn't an oddity for you to see, he would make one. And that actually brings me to a really fucking interesting story.
Okay,
so when you're talking about manufacturing freaks, you also have to consider things like human zoos and ethnic displays. Those are a big deal because
I
we're
want
talking.
you to know this is the first time I've ever talked about manufacturing freaks. So,
Oh yeah.
thank you for giving me the rules right out the gate.
If you manufacture one, you got to make a second one to match it. Someone's gonna match your freak.
Somebody's got to match your freak.
Yes.
Is that song? Is that what that's about?
That's what that was. It's about the industrial age of the freak.
Manufacturing freaks. Got it.
No, but like in different ways, you could actually like physically like cripple people to make them like artifacts.
Nasty
You know, like-
up in a nasty girl.
You know, like Chinese foot binding.
Yes.
Familiar with that?
Yes.
So
Yes.
ladies
Yeah,
would get
yeah.
their feet bound to, so when they grew, they'd have tiny little dainty feet. They used to do that with just people.
I thought that was more of wasn't it like a weird aristocracy thing in China?
Yes, it was.
Because the rich sort of aristocrat class women, it wasn't like lady like to walk.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
went
Yeah,
around,
well,
they got
yeah.
carried
Also,
around in those little.
it's kind of hard to run
things
away
are-
from your abusive husband if you got fucking crippled little stump feet.
God damn! Sorry, China.
But no, like they also had this thing like in China in fucking 1100 something. It was fashionable to have like a pet dwarf or like a servant, like a proportionate short servant. But it's not like you could just fucking go out and find a dwarf anywhere. So they would make them. You would get a child and put him in a vase and raise that child.
What?
Yeah, like feeding them like malnourishing things and booze to keep their ligaments and bones from growing strong. So by the time they're like 6, they've fucking barely walked ever in their life and they've been grown inside this pot to keep them from expanding. You've got these misshapen dwarven creatures.
This one feels made up because how have I never heard of this?
It's fucking real. Yeah, people have been doing shit like that for forever.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean there was like old hobo tricks where, like you'd fucking lop off a couple of fingers to get more sympathy for panhandling or something.
I can see that one.
Yeah, stuff like that. But people have been doing body modification and stuff like that. To this day, people still have. If you go to like Cirque du Freak or whatever the fuck, what was that? Was that sideshow that was like touring around? It was like a Cirque Noir or something.
Know.
It's all fire breathers and pierced.
Well, you guys have never
tattooed
seen me,
peoples.
but I actually have my whole face tattooed like a lizard, and my tongue is split, and I've got big gauges in my nose.
You're talking about that guy from that X-Files episode.
I'm.
You know the one.
No, I was.
You know the one I'm talking about.
I've never watched an episode of X Files.
Oh God. Well, any listeners, almost every person on Earth knows this one. It's the Freak episode of X-Files.
I've never watched an episode of X Files.
Fuck, that's the good one. But it made one one particular guy, the Alligator Man. It made him like really famous because he's like exhibited really strongly in the episode.
Okay.
If somebody had the sorry to ruin this episode of the X-Files, but it's all about
Spoiler alert.
They're finding like murders in a sideshow, and they're looking at all the freaks, sword swallowers, and all this shit. It turns out that like the manager had a symbiotic twin that like crawl out of him at night and go kill people. Yeah, that's fucking awesome. And then the Alligator Man eats it. Great episode, legendary
And
episode.
you wonder why I've never watched an episode of that.
X-Files fucking rules.
I know you feel that way. I just never. I can go ahead and piss more people off. I've never seen an episode of Friends.
Friends isn't very good.
I've never seen an episode of Seinfeld.
Seinfeld has its merits, but not a big deal.
I don't know what else, but I'm sure there's some other shows and movies out there that I've never seen.
Yeah,
that
you can brag about being fucking lame if you want. Whatever.
I'm not bragging. I'm just I'm bearing my soul.
I don't even watch TV. My mom won't let me. I only watch TV for an hour on Wednesdays.
Wow, really?
No, I fucking watch TV all the time. As soon as we're done here, I'm going to go play Baldur's Gate 3 on my PlayStation 5.
Jesus.
Somebody gave me shit about that.
I was go edit.
I was telling a coworker that I was like, yeah, I got a new video game I want to play. He's like, yeah, what are you playing? I was like, fucking Baldur's Gate, 'cause it's like a Dungeons and Dragons game. And this guy's like, pfft. Like, what do you mean? Pfft? You just asked what game I was like with excitement.
Yeah.
You were like, what game?
He's
What game?
probably
You
like a Call of Duty.
yeah, he's
kid.
like, Call of Duty. I'm like, well, fucking. Bro,
Yeah.
what did you kill, like 12 fake people? I killed hundreds. Hundreds of fake dwarves and shit, dragons. I baked a fucking old lady with fucking hellfire. Like,
Jesus Christ.
Would you pop with your little duh? You think you're hard?
Yeah, and then call him the F word after you kill him.
Oh yeah, so that's why I don't play Call of
Yeah.
Duty and shit, because I don't want to play with people.
Yeah, having a 12-year-old call you a fag is
Bad.
is
I
a
hate
rough,
that. That's the reason.
It's a rough.
I logged into Grand Theft Auto 5 online 'cause at Jake, our friend Jake's request. He was like, "Come on, it'll be great." You know, he talked it up, and I was like, "I guess maybe I could play online for once." And I log in, and like loading forever. And then I got gunned down, and I could hear the braces on this kid as he called me the N-word and drove off. And then I immediately logged out. I was like, no, I am never, ever going to do this.
I didn't even know that Grand Theft Auto had a game chat mode.
Yeah, it's right there. You can just hear them immediately.
Not the way I play it, but okay.
It was awful, and I hated it, and I remembered why I don't want to do things with people. But okay, so one of the things that, this was in the 1800s, right? So,
Are we still on Tom Thumb?
moving on past Tom
Oh,
Thumb,
okay.
I'm talking more about like manufactured.
I got you. Yeah, that's right. I remember now.
Like finding people with like encephaly. Hold on, I'll find it.
Encephalitis.
Hold on, it's called
Encephalitis.
encephalitis. That's what I'm looking for, right? Microcephaly.
Microcephaly.
Finding people with microcephaly,
Small heads.
with small heads, exactly, and calling them pinheads, and putting them in your show. Like, these people are mentally challenged and slightly disfigured. They don't have any choice in what they're doing. You're just fucking tossing them in a pit.
Yeah, and dressing them like weird babies.
Yeah, which is what a weird.
That was a weird one.
I've actually, when we get to,
You're talking about like the pinheads.
yeah, when we get to Todd Browning's Freaks, I got a little bit on Schlitzie the Pinhead, who's in that movie.
Yeah,
which is like, you can, in the movie Freaks, you can see that sequence with Schlitzie and the Pinheads, and it's very sweet because they seem very sweet, but it's also like, this is intensely exploitive and bad. Fuck me. Even though like they seem like they're kind of like having fun, it's like, I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's no matter which way you hack it,
but,
it's exploitation. And I would say that even if a movie came out today, I'd be like,
of course,
okay, well, this person is either being exploited by, a writer or director of this movie, or by their parents who clearly must have,
fucking both.
Yeah, or both. Probably both.
Yeah. So this is how I feel anytime I see like a small child in a movie. Like, that kid didn't want to be in your fucking movie.
It depends on how small we're talking about, because a lot of kids, by the time they're like 3-4 years old, they're like, I want to be a famous actor.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it's ridiculous. I'm like, you don't know what
no
you
one
want.
should be allowed to act
idiot.
until they're 18.
Yeah, you want goldfish for lunch.
Yeah.
You don't get to make decisions about
idiot.
anything.
Peanut butter jelly.
Yeah.
Breakfast.
Yeah. You cried when I wouldn't let you have a lollipop before dinner. You don't get to make any decisions.
Choose your career path yet.
Not yet.
But yeah, so like there was along with all that, ethnic displays in human zoos. Like during the height of the British Empire, coming out of like Victorian England in the 1800s, you'd get. I mean, well, there's a lot of shit going on in the 1800s. Especially in America. You might know we had a little thing called slavery.
Mm-hmm.
And for hundreds of years before that,
and in lots of other countries,
including England, right? And so like
basically everywhere that had slavery abolished it in the 1800s.
One of the big things about all this sideshow hokery and hookum is you had to
whatever
see
those
you had to
words
see
are.
these. I made it up. You had to see these characters as less than human, and it was easy enough to, if you couldn't bring like an actual tribesman from New Guinea or something, you could find like a Mexican woman to dress up in all kinds of stuff and be like, oh yeah, I'm a fucking Tunisian fire dancer or something, and people would pay money to come see that, but because there was no frame of reference, it was just white and brown people essentially. And white people were paying a lot of money to be like, oh, look at these wacky Mongolians or some shit. And really they're Italian, but
right.
but like they're dressing up in garb and putting on these fucking these ethnic shows.
Right.
And And yeah, the human zoos were a big deal, and it'd be like essentially slavery would be like the most exotic slaves from different parts of the world, and they do dances and shit. And it was a wildly lucrative enterprise. And in fact, P.T. Barnum, everybody's favorite showman, his first big act was a slave. It was a woman.
Just a regular.
If you heard that, there's shit falling out of trees onto my roof right now.
Is that what that is?
Yeah, it was a harvest time for whatever nut is. Yeah, it's been happening all week.
Those are loud nuts.
Yeah, big hangers. Yeah, it's nuts. It's nutty how loud they are.
So,
but anyway,
okay, so this was just a...
Yeah, P.T. Barnum's first real big act was a woman named Joyce Heth.
Okay.
And Joyce Heth claimed to be 162 years old and was the nursemaid and caretaker of one George Washington.
In real life, no, she was claimed. This was a claim she was making.
This was a claim she was making, and
I got you.
Like the deal was, P.T.
I was
Barnum.
like, that math is.
P.T. Barnum owned her. He bought her flat out with cash, right, and would put her on stage, and she would tell the stories of raising young George Washington. She was old and shriveled and had stumpy little legs, and would just be like, "Yes, I remember when you cut down that peach tree and."
I think it was a cherry tree.
Whatever. And then the master was sure mad, but then Georgie said, "I cannot tell a lie, father." And she'd tell this shit, and people would come ask questions, and she'd just be like, "Yeah, he was a precocious child, but you could see greatness." And they toured around together for fucking forever, 3 or 4 years, claiming that she was 165 years old or some shit. Or 161 years old.
Okay.
And when she eventually died of old age, she was dissected at a New York medical school.
Oh my God.
Because the doctors were excited to discover the secret of her longevity. And then after,
oh no, this is just a 60-year-old woman.
Yeah, and just exactly. Found out no, she couldn't have been older than 73.
Oh my God.
Right? That's where shit gets really fucked with me. Is not only do you own these people in life, you own them in death too.
Yeah, that's crazy.
In the book, The Wonders that I was reading, it's referred to many times as science as rape. It's just this fucking consistent idea that once a freak dies, then you pickle them or something. You dissect them, you look at their bodies, maybe you save some stuff. Look at Joseph Merrick's remains. Where everybody knows about the infamous Elephant Man, right? Mm-hmm. Who turned out to be a really lovely, sensitive, intelligent man. Mm-hmm. When he died, they fucking preserve his remains, and they cart him around, and they showed him all over the place.
That's insane.
There was a woman, in keeping with the slave. This is where the shit gets real dark. We'll get funny in a second, but this is pretty fucked up. There's another woman.
I feel like every response for the last 30 minutes of mine has been, oh fuck, oh no, oh God.
There's a woman named Sarcha Bartman, or it went by Sarah Bartman, who is known as the Hottentot Venus, right?
I'm sorry, the what?
The Hottentot Venus.
Okay.
The Hottentot is a German word meaning something.
Okay.
The fuck is a Hottentot?
I don't know. You're in charge of this one, man.
Some German shit.
First time I've ever heard Hottentot Venus. And now I want tater tots for some reason.
Hottentot. But Sarah Bartman was she was an African woman who was exhibited at a freak show in the 19th century under the name Hottentot Venus. She just had a big ass. That was I'm dead serious. She was just a black woman with a big ass, but it was pretty remarkable. You can see check out the picture. It's a big ass.
Yeah, she got a big
ass.
Right?
She got a big ass, and she had some unusual features in general. You could say that I guess you could say they're a little National Geographic-esque, but that's more because she was dressed in her performative gear as a tribeswoman.
Oh God!
And in the meantime, she was just a fairly intelligent, lovely young lady that hated being exhibited this way. Right?
You don't say.
And then when she eventually died, this her manager had her ass and labia preserved to cart around and show people.
Oh, that not just for that, I bet.
I don't want to get into it, but like, holy shit, dude! Like, this is 17. She lived 1789 to 1815.
I can only think of one reason why you would want your slave lady's ass and labia preserved, and only that.
And you're probably not far off. I'll tell you.
I'd be willing to put money down that if you.
But it's just
if there was a way to find out the answer, I'll bet the answer is
it's just
yep.
That's just another continuation of the science is rape, ownership in life and death, right? But like here's the worst one, okay? And I don't like this story. This story made me cry. I'll say that. When I was looking it up, and I actually
great.
Yeah, hey guys, we're funny people. But this is still a history podcast. The world hasn't been exactly a fucking blast.
Yeah, this one's not been fun so far. But
Probably the most informative shit we've done.
Let's go. Let's do it.
Well, you didn't like Jeffrey Hudson?
I did like Jeffrey Hudson.
Jeffrey Hudson's cool. Captured by pirates.
By comparison, now he was a blast. I wish I had known when we started on that I was just on a fucking downhill luge to hell.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, I'll make this one quick then. This is a young lady named Julia Pastrana.
Okay.
Who was known around the world.
Did she ride dirt bikes and?
Yeah. No, she
race cars for Red Bull.
She'd ride dirt bikes in those little balls. You get in the ball.
Yeah. Did she build a big Hot Wheel track in Vegas and launch a rally car over?
Sure, yeah, you got it. That was her whole and she lived happily ever after. Nothing horrifying happened at all.
Oh, that was Travis Pastrana. Never mind. I'm sorry.
Oh, I didn't even get the joke you were making.
You didn't?
No.
Travis Pastrana, the very famous
great grandson of Julia Pastrana. But actually,
anything's possible.
Actually,
I guess.
no, it's not. That's not possible if you consider the story.
Okay.
Fuck.
Oh boy.
Julia Pastrana, known as the ugliest woman in the world.
Oh, I just pulled up a photo.
Yes, or also the ape woman. There's a couple other monikers in there.
Oh boy. Okay. I don't like it.
But her face and body were covered with straight black hair. Right, she was born in Sinaloa, Mexico, in 1834. She didn't even make it to fucking 30. Like, she died when she was 26 years old.
Yeah.
So she was, let me see. She was discovered in Mexico by a guy named Theodore Lent.
Okay.
And he was like, goo!
Jesus
Whoa, that bitch ugly. So that's what he did. That's what he did. Oh, that bitch is so ugly.
Oh my god.
Like, he was struck by her fucking unusual features, and he immediately just saw like dollar signs. He's like, "Fuck yeah, I'm gonna like get this lady or this young woman."
Yeah.
There's only maybe like 10 when he finds her. I'm gonna cart her around and fucking charge people to look at her ugly ass. But in the meantime, she learned like multiple languages. She was a multi-instrumentalist. And she was a dancer and all this other shit, and like by every account, really lovely and intelligent. But she was so popular for being so ugly and also so like lovely that other people started trying to like horn in and try and like pitch her management, like, hey, we'll give you a cut if you want to tour with us instead. So Theodore Lent's big take was, oh, I know how to keep her. He married her. He seduced her, and then married her.
No.
Yeah. And about a year later, she was pregnant.
Oh, no.
And she died in childbirth. I'm not going to dwell on this because there's more of this that really fucks with me.
God.
She died in childbirth. Her baby died shortly after. He had them both mummified.
The baby?
Mm-hmm. And he would
The baby died?
Yeah. They both died. Baby died shortly after being born. She died in the process. He had them both taxidermied and then would hop around with them.
Fuck that, dude.
Dude, fuck that so hard. It's crazy. But then also, like, shortly after that, he started touring again with another performer. The performer's name, I can't quite remember. With another performer that was another ugly young woman. Like, that he had found that was being, like, protected by her family and kept away from, like, peepers. And he fucking found her, seduced her, married her too, and carted her around as Julia's sister, performing the same fucking act that she would do next to the corpses of this woman and her child.
Stop.
Dude, fucking horrifying. Luckily, Theodore Lent lost his mind at a certain point and was committed for like the remainder of his life. And that young woman, the second ugliest woman in the world, she married and lived a decent life. Like she got out of that whole scenario.
Her name was Marie Bartel.
Marie Bartel, yes. Well, here is the real story to me. I mean, it's all a real story, but like, so the bodies of Julia and her child go missing.
Okay.
Just missing.
Mm-hmm.
For 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. And then they pop up, here, there, museum, a little oddity shop. Old friends of hers like discover this body and like try and buy it. They can't find it. Her and her child. Oh God, fuck. Let me look at this because this is a saga. So 1857, 1858. 1859, she becomes pregnant. They die in 1960. Takes the involved bodies in 1962. Then he meets Maria Bartel in 1864. Then he dies in a psychiatric hospital in 1884. So we're getting through the 1800s with this one pretty solidly.
Yeah.
Which is good because that's fucking shitty, and then we can move the fuck on. With one small exception.
Great.
But okay, so the bodies disappear. They are found in 1953 in a storage unit like a warehouse in Sweden.
Okay.
Right? The guy who owns them dies. His son inherits the bodies. Then they're stored in a warehouse in Oslo. They're exhibited in multiple fairs in the 70s. They're taken on tour in the 70s in Paris.
Jesus Christ.
Sweden and Norway then passed laws in the 70s that are like, that's not fucking cool. Stop that. And the Bishop of Oslo is like, yo, can we take these bodies and bury them in a Catholic cemetery? And he says, no, fuck you. So he puts the Pastrana and her baby in storage in Oslo. In 1976, thieves break into the warehouse and throw the mummified infant into a field where it is eaten by rodents. Her arm is ripped from her body and later found in a dumpster and taken to the police. The warehouse is vandalized. Jeez. The body disappears. They find her body in a janitor's closet in the basement of the Institute of Forensic Medicine in Oslo. The body's restored and kept. This goes on for a while. She's shipped back and forth. Her body's fucked with. Shipped back and forth. Then a doctor finds her in the 2000s, and it becomes kind of big news. And eventually, in 2013, her body is brought back to Mexico and then interred.
Jesus Christ.
Over 100 years.
That's literally the fucking saddest story I've
not
ever
over
heard.
100 years. Close to 100 years of just like being fucked with.
Of someone having a terrible life and then ending up in just another terrible situation when this fucking idiot married her and carted her around all over the place and gets her pregnant, and then she dies during childbirth, and then for what, 3 times longer than she actually was allowed to live, 4 times longer than she was actually allowed to live.
She's just fucking shipped around in hell.
Got her fucking body and her infant's body.
I'm gonna say when I read that the infant's body just got tossed into a field, was eaten by rodents after all of that and all that time. I fucking cried. I cried when I read that. That's terrible. Horrifying.
That's awful.
Yeah. And you know.
Well, I'm going to go throw myself in front of traffic now.
It is with a very small, like, you know, happy ending thing that she got interred in Mexico, but that's so slight compared to the rest of this.
Yeah, in
shit.
2013.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Okay, we're coming out of the dark ages here, though, okay, because now we can make fun of some people.
I don't know if I have it in me. I think that took all my juice.
Where are we right now? How long have we been talking?
We have been talking for an hour and 4 minutes. Yeah, because we started straight away on this one. So.
Cool. Then we can do this second. We can do the second one, and it'll be fun. The second side is fun. I won't even talk about Chang and Eng, the Siamese twins.
I do want to talk about Chang and Eng.
You want to talk about Chang and Eng?
I've got jokes for that.
Okay, they die. It's real sad.
That's fine. Everybody dies. It's always sad.
So like Chang and Eng is kind of the last vestige of that. Like,
Wait, is that the next?
That's the next ones I got coming up. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there was Joseph Merrick in there, but we really don't need to talk about it.
Joseph Merrick is a sad.
Watch the fucking movie.
Yeah,
watch
very
David
sad
Lynch's
story.
Elephant Man if you want to be bummed out. That's
Yeah.
a sad one. Though also he did find some catharsis towards the end there and was treated like a human, so that's cool.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So there's something there, but so Chang and Eng, pull up my. Sorry, hey, I went through multiple tabs already.
Chang and Eng, who were the Siamese twins that were attached at the hip.
Not attached to the hip, very
attached
close.
kind of the whole torso.
Like right under their breast.
Yeah.
Like left breast on one and then right on the other.
Yeah.
Like it'd be like connected. They had connecting livers.
But they had 4 legs, right?
Yeah, they had 4 legs, 4 arms.
Yeah.
Like
So
they
4
were
arms.
Yeah, they were separate
2 arms.
people. I mean, they each had 2 arms.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So they had full bodies, but they were attached by like a
torso,
flesh tube
Yeah.
on their torso. Chang and Eng Bunker. They went by Bunker because that was the name of their manager, I believe.
Oh, okay.
They were born in like 1811 and they died in 1874.
Where were they born? Where were they from?
They are from. They were born in the
Were they Korean?
Kingdom of Siam.
Okay.
Yeah, in Rattnkosin, which is like they were going by like the Chinese twins for a long time, but then at the time in the 1800s, China was kind of frowned upon in America. They like a lot of opium den shit and like Charlie Chan evil yellow devil shit going around. So like they were like, yeah, we're Siamese, and then Siamese twins kind of worked their way in.
Siamese twins. Is that where the term comes from?
Yeah, that's exactly where.
Really?
Yeah, because they were the Chinese twins, and then they became the Siamese twins.
Oh.
Yeah. They were super fucking famous, like super famous and interesting and creative. They had a decent life where
Siam, by the way, is what is now modern day Thailand.
Yeah.
It's not. I didn't know if that was common knowledge or not, but yeah, used to be Thailand.
Is that where where tie dye comes from?
No, not at all.
No. All right, Chang and Eng Bunker.
I don't know how to even look at you right now. That was the worst joke.
Okay, so they were like, not only were they, so they were purchased when they were young from their parents, who they kept in contact with. It wasn't like there was like they got sold in a bad way. It was just like, guy was like, hey, I'll give you some money. I'll take your kids on a tour. We'll figure out some shit. And they're like, yeah, well, they're fucking weird freaks anyway, so fucking take them.
Right.
So they get toured around the United States and Europe and all over the place. They've got this like, the 2 distinct personalities. They're 2 people,
right? Of course,
two very different people, just that are attached. But they learn a whole bunch of different routines. They've got like juggling acts. They've got tumbling. They could do like somersaults and shit. They would like pick people up in the audience and like cart them around because there's
wild.
You know, and yeah, they did one that was like a badminton thing. They do like paddle and shuttlecock tricks, you know, between each other real fast, and like it was pretty fascinating. But they specifically were not getting paid. They felt exploited.
Yeah, sure.
They
Makes
were being,
perfect
they were
sense. Yeah,
obviously being exploited. You know, but like
it's crazy when something's happening to you and you feel like that something is happening to you.
But like there was one particular instance where they're like fucking traveling somewhere, and the manager and like his girlfriend are in first class eating steak, and they're in like steerage with like cold beans.
Yeah,
and shit.
sitting
they're
on
like,
hay bales.
They're like, I'm pretty sure they're not doing any fucking work, and we're doing like juggling bullshit all the time.
Yeah.
Like
the people are coming to see us.
We're entire people. We're more than entire people.
Yeah, we should each be getting paid for this.
Exactly. So they say, yeah, fuck you, and they start doing their own shit, and they become their own entrepreneurial like investiture.
Good for them.
Yeah, and that was the whole thing, because this is where the tide turns from that dark Victorian shit to sideshow performers making their own money.
Okay.
Because now with their ability to invest and regulate and book and everything else, they create their own legends, they put their own bits, they do their own tours, they're their own managers, they make every cent themselves.
Right.
They become fabulously wealthy because people love freaks. So they get rich as shit. They buy property in North Carolina. They unfortunately own quite a few slaves.
Oh no, that's you would think that, you know, you had this whole
Yep.
This whole revelation about exploitation, and then
That
you do
is-
that, huh?
I mean, it is. I mean, probably easy to track that a lot of people who grow up exploited end up being exploiters themselves.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like people who grow up, being abused.
Yeah.
Largely, of course, there are some people that sort of break that cycle, but end up becoming abusers. Or if you grow up as most females that grow up with a very abusive father end up with guys who are abusive.
Yeah. Yeah. Or well, I mean, like I think in this context it would be something like, yeah, no, we were kind of like treated like chattel and basically enslaved, but they'd look at their own slaves and be like, well, at least we're not beating them,
Yeah.
So they got it better than we did.
That's
So it's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, that all sounds terrible.
But they married sisters in North Carolina, which was a whole thing.
So this is where
Things get fucking weird. The entirety of Check and Egg story is pretty interesting. I like that they became like entrepreneurial investors.
This was the part I was looking forward to.
You want to do this one?
This is the part I was looking forward to because so the whole reason why we came up with this idea was
I knew it was gonna get there.
The whole reason.
All right, everyone, as we get into the mind of Patrick real quick, I want you to understand that I just spent the past hour trying to put legitimate study and historical context into all of this. Okay.
And now it's gonna be all about fucking, baby. So the reason why this whole idea popped into my head, and I texted Riley immediately, and I was like, "Oh, this would be a great episode to do," was I was reading.
It was the study of like the human condition.
Nope, no. That's not what it was. It was probably a fucking BuzzFeed article or something. But I saw an article about the two conjoined twins that are probably. I mean, I don't think many conjoined twins exist simultaneously in this world, especially not modern day. Mm-hmm. But there's the conjoined, the Hensel twins, the two girls that are also conjoined in the torso. I think they only have two total arms.
Yeah, it's more like one body.
It's like one body. It kind of like it tapers up at the chest and then two heads, right? But one of them got married. And then in this article, the other sister was saying that she doesn't want to get married. She's, happy being a single lady.
I think where Patrick's going here is that they just have the one vagina.
And they have just the one everything. Well, I guess the two boobs, but, they share. Because we live in a world where now the importance of consent and bodily autonomy and all these things are kind of like chipping away at some of the old ways that people looked,
like bodily autonomy is like tantamount these
right,
days. It's like
exactly.
people are looking at themselves more as like an independent state than anything.
And this creates such a fucking like it like, how do you share a body with what is ostensibly another human being, right? There's a whole separate brain
two different
in
people,
this head that's next to me 24/7, right? This my sister wants to get married to this guy. Mm-hmm. I am now going to have a guy banging me that I don't want banging me. It's my sister's husband. Like the whole concept, it hurts my brain to think about what this other girl must think.
I mean, and then I would assume that if you're going to get into a relationship like this, in any regard,
obviously, I'm sure there were a lot of conversations.
Got to set your guidelines, unless. It's just like,
but this guy's dick's right next to me while my sister is fucking blowing him.
I mean, I don't know.
Which good for her. That's what. Listen, we live in 2024,
but isn't that guy at some point?
Nobody doesn't give blowjobs anymore.
Is that guy just kind of like, hey, it's right there?
I'm pretty sure if somebody asks me to give them a blowjob, I'm required to, but just because of the state of the world now, I just have to. I mean, like, everyone has to blow everyone.
I don't want to impugn this gentleman. I'm sure he's just a regular old guy, but like. I would not be shocked if, like, in his head during the whole courtship, it's like, I bet I can get them both to do it. I bet I can do it.
You're not wrong.
Like, just in his. I'm not saying that he's trying to live his life that way.
Listen,
I'm saying it's just in his fucking periph.
It doesn't. It's just like everybody thinks about like murdering somebody at some point. When somebody does you wrong, and you're like, oh, fucking kill that.
Yeah.
But we have that part of our brain that's like, no, that's stupid. Guys, we are fucking foul creatures, and we think the worst things.
I would like to say that this falls directly in line with, and I am not omitting that we're guilty of this, the inherent fetishization of all of these people that we've been talking about.
But yeah, because any guy would think that, even if only brief, even if never followed through on it, any guy would be like, and I'm not attracted to Siamese twins. I think that would be very weird. I don't know how that guy ever, I mean, I don't know what's going on with this dude that he courted one half of a Siamese twin.
Not saying anything bad about him.
Listen,
could be cool.
To each their own. He's got a thing. Go for it, dude. But I just, the specifics of it are so fucking mind blowing. Like, what if he wants his wife to try anal? I share that butthole with my sister. I'm sorry. I gotta talk to her about it. And then she's like, "Oh, I'm actually right here." I heard the whole conversation.
Oh, God damn it. God damn it.
But then I started thinking.
He did a little wave when he said that.
But then,
oh yeah, I'm right here actually. Thanks.
But then it got me thinking about other just not non-sexual stuff, like one Siamese twin with two heads sharing one body. One of them falls asleep before the other one. Mm-hmm. And then what if they like move around and I'm just trying to fall asleep, and bitch, you're already like, you're moving.
Well,
like, there's so much
if you
that
think
just
about,
is
like,
mind blowing to think about.
If you think about like Chang and Eng, they independent bodies, but there would have to be some finagling, like, hey, we want to switch positions. Would you mind just kind of coming on this side?
Yeah.
So I can go like this. And the other brother's like, oh man, I'm trying to fucking sleep here.
But they both had wives.
Yeah, but then
I was like, what is that? Because now you're talking about Siamese twin guys, which again, like we just discussed, guys have all kinds of, there is just tumultuous fucking crazy shit that goes on in our brain sexually almost 24/7.
The wildest thing about doing research and reading these kind of books is that, like, well, it's all wild, but like the real truth of their lives behind closed doors are completely guarded in every respect. Every circus performer has massively private personal life.
Right.
You know, there's like, because there's everything so public. So you would never, I mean, it's going to be really unusual to find like any documentation of the sexual proclivities of performers. We do
also
know,
because of just the whole nature of their deformities.
Yeah, the
I would imagine
the
they
taboo
would be,
nature of everything.
Right, they would want to be even more extra guarded than just a normal person.
Or even like, I mean, if you're a Siamese twin and you actually like talk.
But they
to a
married
girl,
sisters.
Yes, they married sisters. But here's where it gets a little odd.
You think they were swapping?
There's, that's, you can't say these kinds of things really to like, I mean, you can fucking say them. I'm just saying you can't, like, the fetishization inherent in this is just rampant because the taboo nature of everything is immediately fascinating.
I don't know that I'm fetishizing it. I'm not saying it, curious.
I'm not saying that as a negative. I mean, just like, it is a natural response. That's one of the reasons people are so into fucking oddities and sideshows.
Well, and also it's like, you don't think about, especially in, we're talking about, as of right now, we've been what did we stop somewhere in the 1930s, right? Mm-hmm. So I mean, so a lot of the modern day conveniences that we have now didn't exist then. But as you get into, because this just unlocked this whole fucking thing, and like I said, as soon as I saw that article where I'm like, oh, the one sister's getting married and the other one doesn't. That's interesting. And then I just started thinking about like, so many things just must be insane, mundane things that we do day to day.
I will say and
of course sex stuff was right at the top of the list because I was
because the first thing you think with any taboo subject is going to go into sex.
They share one vagina. One sister is single. One sister is married. How do you divvy that up?
You get the vagina on Wednesdays. Like, hey, I'm going out to the club. And, the married one's like, sorry, honey, it's club night.
So I got to go with my sister.
And the husband's just like, all right, guys, have fun. Be safe.
My sister needs me to go with her, so I watch out with her.
Railed.
We're by a stranger. Yeah. And then she's like, what do you say to your husband? Like, I didn't want to.
Like I said, a lot of conversation. I mean, maybe even just like, yeah, that was fun. He was okay.
I got fucked by a different dude, honey.
Okay, so there was a secondary set of twins. You remember in the movie Freaks, Violet and Daisy Skinner. They're like, yeah,
maybe?
another pair of conjoined twins,
Okay.
women. They were called the United Twins, as like a counter to the Siamese. They were really pretty girls,
Really?
right? Yeah, you remember them from the movie? There's
Not
actually
really.
there's
I
a
remember them from just other things. I think.
there's kind of a great moment, a really weird like accepting pseudo sexual moment where one of the girls is married to the stuttering clown, right? And he hates the sister.
Oh, that's right.
They're
That's
always
right. That's
bickering.
right. Yeah, because I was making jokes about it.
Right, exactly. And there's a bit where like the fucking the other sister that's not married is like courting somebody, and the guy kisses her, and the sister that's not being courted is reading a book, and she kind of like holds the book to her chest and goes like, and like enjoys the kiss. That's real. That was something that they experienced as sisters. And
Yeah?
later, like in their lives, when they would date or be in relationships, they would get sexual pleasure when the other person was experiencing sexual acts.
I mean, I would imagine it's gotta.
But then also, there's another point in that movie where like the clown is like,
No, just thinking about like they go out when a single sister wants to get railed by a guy at the bar, and then like afterward they're like, yeah, he fucks better than your husband, and it's like just there's no, you can't even argue. We both experience that guy just got us off 8 times. What do you like?
sounds like a win-win. But all right, so Violet and Daisy Skinner in the movie, there's a bit where one of them introduces the clown to like her sister's new fiance, right? And there is no like, damn it, we're sharing bodies or something.
Yeah.
Like he's just like, oh well, hey, welcome to the family, nice to meet you. It's like super accepting. So with that being coded, because Todd Browning, who directed that movie, was a sideshow performer when he was younger.
Okay.
He literally ran away with a circus when he was a kid. It was a
Okay.
big passion project. Also directed Dracula. But he like was in on the inside stuff.
Right.
So I think my supposition would be that is a little nod to the sort of polyamorous nature of that sort of an arrangement.
I guess it's gotta be. I mean, I can't imagine any other way that it would work.
I mean, hey, we're looking at a people that specifically can't live within societal norms. Like that is their existence.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you're not wrong.
you think it'd be fucking way out of the box for somebody who's lived their entire life in a sideshow to be like, yeah, no, we'll just do this. It's fine.
Yeah. Or for a husband who marries conjoined twins to be like, well, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I love her. What are you gonna do?
She gets to fuck other people. That technically means you get to fuck other people.
I think it's lovely.
As long as everybody's on board with it, I don't give a damn. Do whatever the fuck you want.
But that's the whole thing. That's the topic. Is the consent inherent in these lifestyles?
I didn't know that Chang and Aang. I knew that they each got married. I didn't know that they were sisters.
Yes. Well, before that, Chang apparently was quite the womanizer. Aang not so much.
Okay.
Right. But Chang was a big drinker. He was like the more dominant side. So like there was like a dichotomic thing.
I know
there.
which side it is because the other guy was smaller. He was kind of
It's exactly right. Yeah. But they got married to sisters. They had a bunch of kids, like fucking shitload of kids, dude. Like I want to say like 20 children, like collectively. But the sisters had a bunch of animosity for each other. I would assume it would have something to do with like sexual jealousy or just the idea of being like stuck in a house together.
That's a whole other thing. Like, okay, you got 2 families that you kind of have to live in the same house.
So they built 2 houses, and Chang and Aang would live in one for 3 days, and then live in the other for 3 days. That's fucking.
And what? Just alternate Sundays?
They just switch.
Oh my
How
god,
fucking crazy!
that is crazy.
Can you imagine, like, I asked my 3 days off. I don't know. Yeah, go ahead and you fuck. It's fine.
That's the.
Do you think like the one would get to like jerk it while the other one was getting down? Or would that be like, would you please not do that?
Just watch your aim if you're gonna do it, please. I'm not trying to.
I'm trying to. We're trying. Honestly, tonight this is like date night. Right?
Yeah. Anniversary.
Trying to be passionate.
It's our fucking anniversary, dude. Can you just
not
stop?
Like, all right, fine, fuck.
Yeah, it's just unreal to me because there are going to be times when one of them, and you know how it is when you've been with somebody for a long time. Sometimes you want to bang and your partner's like, and vice versa. So, you bang when everything lines up and both people want to bang.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, now you've got this conjoined twin. What if he wants to bang his wife at the same time?
Maybe they do. Maybe they don't.
Do they just all four just do it? Just go at it at the same time?
Do
we put a sheet in between us?
Taboo that's what I'm saying. The taboo's already there. Like, is it weirder for like one sister to sleep with the guy while there's another one just kind of like not looking, or is it as a communal thing? Is that less weird? Because I mean, it wouldn't say uncharted territory, but like there aren't a lot of maps for this.
I'm saying there's not a lot of precedent here.
It's got to be individual case by case basis,
Oh, I'm sure.
Because like when,
but also we're also talking about a different time,
very
in
much
history.
So.
And
yeah, their houses got vandalized.
A different culture.
It was in fucking North Carolina in the 1800s. Like
Jesus.
they
well, what I was saying is like as far as like I'm talking about like nowadays again with consent and all that stuff. Like 100 years ago, I could just come home and tell my wife like, man, fucking, get on your knees, girl. And like, there's not,
gross.
And and if she didn't do it, I could punch her and be like, now try, and then the cops would come and they'd be like, well,
hey, we're going to talk about some of that
everything
later,
seems on the up and up here. You should, sorry, ma'am, should have blown him. And that's just like legitimately what the cops would say, like, sorry, should have sucked his dick, miss fucking whatever bunker. But like, I mean, it's terrible to say, but that was the precedent at the time.
But also, I mean, hey, these guys were slave owners.
They were slave owners.
What are you gonna?
And what I'm saying is that wives weren't treated. They were a tier above slaves, but I mean, they certainly weren't the tier where they
didn't own the slaves.
They're with husband.
Yeah,
they're not on the same tier as husband. They fall somewhere in between. So they can be subjugated in much the same way, not as badly, but
you know about how Chang and Eng died?
One of them died of like a brain hemorrhage, right?
Yeah, just middle of the night, and the other one woke up, and the brother was just dead next to him, and he's like, he says, "Well, then I'm not far behind."
Well, yeah, I would imagine.
And then just there
you
go.
He died.
Yeah, that was it.
Huh?
Crazy.
That is crazy.
So they're dead.
Well, I mean, I would imagine regardless they would be dead. Were they born in like fucking 18 something?
Yeah. So they were in 1811.
Yeah, so they were going to be dead regardless of medical conditions.
So those fucking jerks. So, but then we watched the movie Todd Browning's Freaks, which is a fucking pretty cool flick, but it's focused very strongly on a culture of like respecting sideshow performers, because if you don't respect sideshow performers, they will kill you horribly. There's this, but it's like, what a cool.
Well, that's the whole.
What a respect-driven narrative, though. It's all about a dwarf, or I guess a midget, about a midget who is engaged to another midget, and then he apparently has a bunch of money. This is all in a sideshow, and this performative German bitch like wants to marry him for his money, and then kill him, and her and like the strong man are in on it together. So like
they've got like a little fling on the side.
Yeah,
right?
and they're banging too. It's a whole fucking thing. But like, so she's doing this. They get married, and at the celebration, there's a very famous scene where all of the freaks are around the table, and you got the freaks exhibited there. I've got a list with some great names.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got Violet and Daisy Skinner, the United Twins,
who are conjoined twins. Yeah.
Again, very lovely ladies, who we were talking about like different time. They tried to get married at multiple different times, and were not allowed to because it seemed bizarre. They didn't try to get married to each other. They would try and marry guys, and they get turned down every time.
Really?
Because it was too bizarre, too taboo, incestuous almost, like. Which is funny. Notice
again,
that a fucking 100 years earlier, Chang and Eng, who, by the way, Asian people at the time considered white. I think that's why you could buy slaves. I'm dead serious. Like there was the Caucasian delineation because it wasn't like set up that way. Really.
Okay.
But yeah, so male landowners.
Well, I mean, Thailand is much closer to the mountains of Caucasus than we are.
But like male landowners were able to get married without much trouble to sisters, but women, almost 100 years later, just couldn't. They're just no.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, but again, we're right back to, like, why? If everybody's, you know how I am, man. It's like, if you're not fucking with anybody, if you're not ruining anybody's life, then do whatever the fuck you want, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very much.
Which is another part of the theme of the movie Freaks.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, again, Todd Browning, the director, grew up in circus sideshows and cast actual sideshow performers for all these roles. It's a revolutionary movie and possibly the only real like investigation or like respect shown towards that culture at the time, which had shifted from being this like horrifying place of bondage to now a collective.
Right.
When you look in the movie, when you're dealing with the clowns and the man-women hybrids, what do they call it?
Daisy and Violet. It was Daisy and Violet Hilton.
They changed their name at a certain point. Sorry.
The original Hilton sisters.
Whoa.
Got them.
The not so simple life.
Fuck you, Paris. Actually, she's turned into quite a lovely young woman.
Apparently so. I've heard that.
Yeah.
Nicole Richie too. They're both doing fine.
they were also hamming it up for the show.
Yeah, as a fucking show. They were acting, whatever. Who gives a
Exactly.
shit? They did a better performance than Paris did in House of Wax. I'll tell you that. I don't know if you ever saw House of Wax.
No.
It's a remake of a movie called House of Wax.
Yeah.
There was a lot of wax in it and no houses. So, but yeah, so like this is like an investigative and compassionate look into the circus sideshow where like people are cool. Like they like each other, they work together, they travel together, but like when somebody tries to upset that balance, the collective of the freaks gets very aggressive and murders them.
Yeah.
Turns one into a crazy chicken lady.
There is a quite a scary scene, even for a movie, even a jumpy black and white movie from
one of
the 1930s.
Scenes ever made.
That is
at the end of the movie. The strong man has done some shit, and the freaks are coming for him. And you've got fucking Johnny Eck, the human torso they call him. That was just a fucking the upper body.
Yeah,
of
he
a
just
man,
had nothing from the
walks
waist
around
down
on his hands, and then you've got Prince Randian, who's a man with no arms and legs. Oh shit, that's the human torso. Johnny Eck was the legless man.
Yeah, okay.
Prince Randian, who is literally just a torso.
Yeah.
Like no arms or legs.
That's right. He
He's
just
got
rolled around everywhere.
You got him like crawling in mud with a knife in his teeth,
Yeah,
just like in the rain.
That scene is wild.
Johnny X got a fucking gun. Like you had dwarves walking in the dark in the rain with the knives under these caravans, chasing this guy in the mud. It's one of the most compelling, scary images I think ever put on film.
It was a wild one.
Yeah, which is like, I like that it never really delved into the like disrespect of like freaks are scary.
No.
Because the story is so compelling that you know exactly why they're doing this.
I think
you're rooting for it.
Yeah, I think that that final scene is more of a fuck around and find out than it is look at these crazy
the
violent
brilliant flip
freaks.
on it. In any other director's hands or in any other movie, you would have these freaks fucking appearing from the darkness with fucking murder in their eyes and knives and shit, and you'd
crawling around in the mud.
You'd be like, this is the scariest shit
dude,
ever.
It was fucking. It's an old ass movie. It's 100-year-old movie almost. And it's fucking.
So
I was watching that like, yo, this is
it's hard. It's hard.
Fucking wild.
But like the thing is, that the person they're after is such a piece of shit that you're rooting for them to fuck him up.
100%.
That's the whole. 100%. That's the crux. In anyone else's hands, it would have been like, the monsters show their real faces or some shit. This is just like, yeah, fucking get them. But the freaks that are around that table. Yeah, Violet and Daisy Skinner.
Okay.
Johnny Eck, who we talked about. Johnny Eck's got this great backstory because he was a vaudeville performer in his own right before he even joined sideshows, because his brother, he had a twin brother who was like a magician, right? And they had an act that got huge where they do the saw him in half bit, right? And fucking they'd have a dwarf in the pants and Johnny Eck.
And he would come down and walk around on his arms?
He'd walk around his hands, and he was super muscular, so he'd just like be booking it, running around, trying to chase his legs, and the legs would be like the dwarf in the pants is going,
Oh my God.
they'd just be chasing around the stage. That must have been one of the fucking coolest things you've ever seen. Like,
That's pretty goddamn funny.
That's amazing. So you had Johnny Eck, Prince Randian, Cuckoo the Bird Girl, who talked about was just a lady, just a fucking lady. And then Schlitzie the Pinhead,
Just an unfortunate looking woman that dressed the part.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then Schlitzie was a microcephalus, right?
Mm-hmm. Pinhead.
Yeah, a pinhead. So there was the huge tradition of people who had, we're thinking pin, like a bowling pin, you know, for pinhead. Yeah, they would, people would pick up people with these features and these intellectual disabilities and put them in dresses and
right. Yeah, they were mentally handicapped people who. I mean, they clearly when you see them,
give them
slightly malformed.
Give them hairstyles that were weird and then
they would just do like shave everything, but
except
the very
just the top, like a top knot, and then there'd be like the story like we found these in like the Congo living in trees. And
there was a
very human zoo, but
what the fuck is that show? American Horror Story. They did.
They did a actually a lot of the next thing on this list is kind of like what American Horror Story based their whole
they did one
show,
season on Circus Freaks, and they had a legit somebody with microcephalus on that show as the cast, and that person acted phenomenally.
Well, yeah, actually American Horror Story has a good back record of that. Like one of the actors with Down syndrome in the first season, that was like one of the best parts of the show.
They always have a I guess representation from a lot of people that you wouldn't normally see in cinematic arts.
Yeah, so Schlitzie was born Simon Metz because Schlitzie was a boy, right? And and it was one of these situations where his parents didn't really have money to take care of him,
right?
And it made more sense to do like the traveling sideshow thing to pay for care in general. And that was kind of Schlitzie's whole life. Like their manager would, eat off of them essentially. They would be able to live with that income, but it would also be as like a caretaker.
Okay.
And that's the story with a lot of. You get into the 1900s, things get a little more advanced. Of course, there's horrifying stories of rape and abuse and things like that.
I'm sure
with any fucking thing that you look at, you're going to find that.
That's true.
But in many cases, you'd find like the pinheads would be kind of like a special needs care group that would finance themselves with these exhibitions.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you even saw in Freaks, like the lady that was like taking care of them was like taking them down to the pond to see the ducks, and the guy was...
Oh, well, yeah, my point was that one character in that American Horror Story season, they would do that with like multiple people, and they all put them in those same little like weird like dresses with the same little top knot haircut.
Yeah, there are a bunch of pinheads in Freaks.
Yep.
Yeah, but yeah, so like you'd see the way that one there's one like normal quote unquote performer in Freaks, and like the way that he talks to Schlitzie is very human and very cool, and kind of the way that you'd talk to like your cousin who's got like a disability or something,
right.
You're just like, oh, what a pretty dress you're wearing. It's so
that's
good to
right.
see you.
Yeah.
And Schlitzie's reaction is so genuine and so sweet. Like, there are a lot of horrifying stories, but Schlitzie's isn't as bad as all that.
Okay,
which is good. I like that. I like that there's a happy. Another thing that I want to talk about actually as we get towards the end of the episode, and possibly I think the real message of everything is what the performers did in their off time and where they eventually ended up. You get a lot of performers that like died on the road, of
bad
freakdom, just trampled by elephants,
terrible living conditions. Yes, I would probably imagine was
like that. Well, I mean, like in the past, yeah, but by the time you get into the 30s, and they've got like these coalitions of freak performers working together, they actually found like a town in Florida to.
Of course, they did.
To winter, essentially. Yeah, Florida, the weirdest possible place for the oddest fucking people.
About the right place, I would imagine.
But it was by the late 50s and 60s, most sideshow performers working with acts like the Barnum and Bailey or the Ringling Brothers Circus.
Well, Barnum and Bailey is like huge on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Florida, yeah.
But when when they
West
needed,
Coast of Florida, not the West Coast of the United
Yes.
States. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they have a whole like Barnum and Bailey college. Is that right?
like a college.
College? No, that's Ringling Brothers. Ringling
Yeah,
Brothers.
yeah. See, this is what
Yeah,
we're
Ringling
talking
Brothers
about.
College.
Their college is down near Tampa,
Yeah.
near a little
Sarasota, I believe.
near a little town called Gibsonton, Florida.
Okay.
Right? So Gibsonton is where the freaks would settle in the off season or find a place to retire.
Oh,
Like
no.
when we talk about Violet and Daisy, the United twins, they ran a fruit stand there for many years.
Around what time period were we talking about?
We're like the 50s into the 60s.
Not traditionally a very inclusive period of time in Florida.
Not particularly,
or
but
just the South in general.
But it also was Florida still has always been a place for freaks and rejects and weirdos to like just hide somewhere.
It's I've said for years it's a transient state.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know that it is anymore, but there was a time when it was like if you murdered somebody somewhere else,
Go to Florida.
go to Florida. You can hide.
That's still the case. You ever
I
see The
think now
Town
it's
with
like-
Ben Affleck? Like his whole plan, the whole movie is just to escape to Florida.
Right. I think,
and then at the end, he
I
escapes
think now
to
Alaska,
Florida.
probably always, but Alaska comes with other
Alaska
trials
would
and
be like,
tribulations. But
Which is weird because to get there, you're already in Canada. What the fuck? But yeah, so Gibsonton, Florida was like established as the performer place. So for 50, 60 years, sideshow performers would spend their time there in the winter doing learning new tricks or putting together new acts, getting married, raising
Interesting.
families. Like the descriptions we have of the late 60s and early 70s in Gibsonton, before the internet, the old...
so they were all in one town.
Yeah, Gibsonton, also known as Gibtown.
Okay.
So the freaks came in 3 categories.
Was there already like a population there?
There was a small one. It was very, very small town.
And then they just got inundated with
it was exact
sideshow oddity
I couldn't
people.
tell you the exact beginning point, but I would guarantee it was something very along the lines of like, we've been traveling with the show for a long time. We're out down near Tampa, and like it's fucking winter. Let's just chill here for the winter. And like a couple of people peel off. They're like, hey, I'm fucking. We're done with the show. We're gonna try our chances here in
I
Gibtown.
found this little town.
Yeah, we're gonna, we got our money. We're gonna set up camp here. The Violet and Daisy are like, yeah, we'll open a fruit stand here for tourists.
Wild.
The bit here and there, fucking Cuckoo the Bird Girl is like, I'm gonna go down and visit fucking
Really?
Violet and Daisy, and bit by bit, this little population starts. And then when the circus is coming back through the next year, they're like, hey, let's stop in Gibsonton and see the girls, and then a couple more people peel off. So, and then they've got babies.
And then
at that
before
point.
you know it, it's just a
Before you know it,
town
it's a
full
town of freaks.
of wow.
Yeah, the description has things like you could just come and see people and like book them, or like see them around town. Let's see, Betty Lou Williams, who had her baby sister growing out of her abdomen. You could see Priscilla the Monkey Girl, who had a double set of teeth and black hair covering her body.
Oh my god.
Who eloped with the alligator boy.
Oh really?
Yes.
Okay.
You could also meet another denizen of this town. Let me stay in Gibson Town for a second.
Okay. We're here already. We might as well
'cause this is
shack up
a
for a
good
night
one.
or two.
You just see like this alligator wrestling, and you do like fire breathing sideshow performers. It wasn't just for freaks; it was also just the carnies or like the roadies that would work on the traveling trains and stuff. It became like a safe haven, and it says here, I'm looking for the great description of this place. Well, so God damn it, or we'll have to edit this part. Sorry.
I'm waiting for it. That's okay. I can edit anything you want, baby boy.
Okay. So the first settlers were the Giant and his wife, the Half Woman. They ran a campsite and a bake shop.
He was a giant and she was a half woman?
Yes. The post office catered to little people with extra low counters. The beer hall had custom-built chairs for the fat ladies and the tallest man.
Okay.
Special zoning regulations allowed residents to keep and train exotic animals in their gardens. The Siamese twin sisters ran a fruit stand. And 3 factories manufactured Ferris wheels and carousels in the area.
Wow.
Yeah, like it was the...
So the whole town like economy became
sideshows
about this.
Yeah. And just, I mean, like, the
I'll
mind
be damned.
boggles. Obviously, they did American Horror Story Freakshow with this place in mind. But, like, the mind boggles walking around a town in 1965, and you're watching, like, the skeleton man holding hands with a bearded lady and shit. And you like, go out to the local bar, and your friends are fucking playing darts, except they're doing it with knives, and they can fucking throw them behind their back because they're just fucking...
You want a fucking orange, and there's conjoined twins selling
Yeah,
them
they're
to you.
just swallowing swords and shit. It's probably walking down the street training monkeys. Like,
That's
fucking...
funny.
Dude, like, what? And all normal. That goes back to, like, what the idea of living as a human oddity must be like just accepting whatever is going on as, you know, you're normal.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you fucking buying fruit from the United Twins and you're like, oh, hey, it's the monkey girl.
That's bananas. I mean,
That was funny.
that actually was not even on purpose.
That's how I point out that a joke's good. That funny.
Normally, I would claim that pun, and it would have been deliberate, but that was 100% on accident.
No, okay, so that is all well and good, Gibson Town, all right? But any town in Florida is eventually going to have some bullshit.
I would argue any town anywhere, but you know,
Well, Florida in particular, especially.
Florida just seems to do it on steroids.
Yeah, exactly. Florida, Freaktown, USA. You can just imagine the bad juju of fucking Florida.
I don't know. It feels like a large swath of that population is probably very accepting and very even
Yes.
the people that didn't work as a sideshow oddity probably had to be very like cool with accepting all these people.
100%,
and then
sure.
obviously all the people who did work in that line of work are probably very welcoming and like, you know, it might be a utopia.
Yes, until
Except you have a story that is going to tell me that it wasn't.
until three little words reared their heads.
Okay.
Lobster boy murders.
Jesus Christ. I know who you're talking about with the hands.
Yeah, his name was Gary
like
Stiles.
lobster claws.
Gary Stiles Jr. Yeah.
It was like all of his fingers on the top were like fused together, and his,
Yeah,
and his thumbs were like elongated.
He had a condition called ectrodactyly.
Okay.
In which the fingers and toes are fused together to form claw-like extremities.
Yeah.
He had both his hands and feet both had like lobster claw-like
Interesting.
things, and some of his children as well. But his name was Grady Stiles Jr.
Okay.
Grady Franklin
See,
Stiles Jr.
those should have been the three words you said, and then I would have been
Grady
like, "Who are you talking
Franklin Stiles.
Yeah.
Also
Three
known
words.
as
about?"
the Lobster Boy. Also
Murders.
known as Lobster Boy Murder.
Wow.
But he was born in 1937. He died in 1992. The majority of the story takes place in the early 90s and late 80s.
Okay.
So Grady Franklin Stiles Jr. was the son of Grady Franklin Stiles, who also had ectrodactyly. And many members of his family had a long history of it dating back to 1840. So
Really?
this is a guy who's born and bred into sideshow
Into a family
life.
that has. Well,
Right.
is that what the family did? For,
Yeah, you could say that his family even comes from that dark Victorian period of like sideshow shit. So like
Right.
this is the real holdover, you know.
Oh, jeez.
He was the fourth child of Grady Sr. And he was a sideshow traveling in a sideshow attraction in a traveling carnival by the time he was like 7.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So Grady Stiles.
He looks like, I'm looking at pictures of him as a kid, and he looks like the kind of kid that would grow up to be a murderer.
Right.
Right.
Right. Well, so Grady Stiles was the famed lobster boy. He was like star of the show, but he also was a fucking nightmare drunk
Okay.
and an abusive piece of shit.
Yeah, he looks like the kind. He looks like as a kid he said the N-word with a hard R.
Due to his condition, he was unable to walk, and he used a wheelchair a lot of the time. But he
Okay.
also would just kind of slither on his like fucking
What?
weird hands and feet. Just, you know, I don't think that sound would be made, but like,
Gross.
I think the people listening know exactly the motion I just made.
That. Yeah, that's. Okay.
Yes. He developed substantial upper body strength because his legs were mostly useless, And so when it was combined with his bad temper and his alcoholism, he was a fucking monster. His first wife left him to marry Harry Glenn Newman, who was a dwarf billed as the smallest man in the world. Yeah. Yeah.
His wife left him?
His wife left him for the smallest man in the world. These are the kinds of things.
What was the smallest man in the world's name?
His name was Harry Glenn Newman.
Harry Glenn Newman? I have to look him up.
Me too.
These all look like normal people.
What? No pictures.
No?
No.
It's trying to link me to Alfred Newman. I know what he looks like.
Well, regardless. Okay, so
Okay.
her name was shit. So his wife was Mary Teresa Stiles, right?
Okay.
So they had several children, also with Ectrodactyl,
yeah.
with lobster claws. So they also had lobster claws, and they were exhibited as like the lobster family, right? He did have one sibling, I think, that didn't have that, which was his oldest daughter.
Okay.
Right. So, in 1978 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, they were living as a family. His eldest daughter was getting engaged, and Stiles invited them over to his house, and then shot and killed the fiance on the eve of their wedding.
What?
Yeah, he's a psychotic drunk. So he fucking murdered his oldest wife's fiance, right? He just didn't approve of him.
Okay.
When he went to trial, he openly confessed to killing the man and was convicted of third-degree murder. Convicted, third degree.
What?
Which is usually, if you shoot a person in cold blood, that's first-degree murder.
Well, no. First degree, you have to prove intent. You have to prove that there was premeditation and
so
planning.
maybe he got to third because he was shit-faced and he
so
was a
they
miserable
might
prick.
have said, that if you it was just you got enraged by something he said or something. Crime of passion is usually where you see lesser degrees of murder.
But regardless, he was not sent to prison, as no state institution was equipped to care for an inmate with ectrodactyly. Stiles was instead...
They don't have any inmates in wheelchairs?
Stiles is instead sentenced to house arrest and 15 years of
Shut
probation.
the fuck up.
For fucking cold-blooded murder. He would say in the future, as he was beating his wife and children and getting fucking drunk and being a monster, that he had already killed and could kill again and no one could put him in jail.
What?
Yes. Because he was a fucking
And
prick.
this is why once somebody does shit like that, you just put them away. I'm not a big death penalty guy.
Like I've said this before, shoot him by the dumpster and just fucking there you go.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think that
who's
I don't
doing
think
the
that,
shooting?
I don't believe in like the torture punishments. I think it's more of just a please excise this person from the continuity.
Right, but yeah. I think in making the state responsible for doing that, you end up like the bureaucracy of it. It just nothing about it.
Gets a little cold.
And and also we have a whole lot of crimes that people have been executed for wrongfully. That's the other thing. Is like,
yeah, that's true. But I mean, at a certain point,
there are people who have been put on death row and then later found to be innocent.
Oops.
Yeah.
Whoopsie daisy.
Yeah. I can't support that. I can't be like, oh yeah, this is okay.
Oh, I can't. Let's not get too political here, but I can't sanction a lot of state-sponsored activities.
Right.
So.
But I do think that, and obviously this doesn't. It still sucks for somebody who's innocent, but at least they're not dead, I guess, is the silver lining. But I do think that once you commit certain acts against other people, that you are not allowed to integrate with society. Like you're not allowed to be around us. Sorry.
Yeah. Put them on the moon.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, that's the old
Put them on the moon.
It's the old English method, right? The penal colony, send them to Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh, this person sucks. Get him the fuck out of here.
I've been to Australia. There aren't that many penises there. I've never been to Australia, and I'm certain there probably are plenty of penises
dicks.
there.
So many
I bet
dicks.
there's a plethora.
Okay, so
Plethora of cocks.
after his trial, Stiles stopped drinking.
So okay. Now I feel like we need to do a whole episode just on this trial.
Oh, it must have been a circus.
God damn it.
Hey-o.
Stupid.
Oh,
But I,
you know, sometimes in the legal system, it's been said that people can be like lobsters in a bucket, holding each other down.
what?
Fuck, I don't know. I was trying to go somewhere with lobsters.
I don't think anybody's ever said that.
You know the term lobsters in a bucket?
No.
The lobsters won't let the other lobsters escape.
What?
If you put two lobsters in a bucket and one gets close to getting out, the other one will pull them in. You don't know that?
No. I feel like you're making this all up on the fly.
No, that's for real. The Aquabats wrote a song about it.
Oh my god. Okay.
There are times you will find lobsters in a bucket, can't climb out,
Well, then it's certain to be true.
'cause the other lobsters hold them back.
All right. So,
This episode is brought to you by the Aquabats. They recently did their last tour and I missed it, and I'm sorry.
So he murders his daughter's
Fiance
fiance.
gets a reduced sentence for it. And
Do we know a motive for that? Do we know why he did
he
this?
just didn't approve of it.
He didn't approve of the
No,
kid.
he was an abusive drunk, and he just didn't approve him. He didn't like him. He didn't think that they should get married, so he fucking murdered him.
And then goes to trial, admits freely that he did it,
Yep, totally did it.
and then the state says, "Well, he's guilty, but he can't go to prison
We ain't got no lobster prisons.
because wheelchair."
Fucking made myself laugh so hard.
We ain't got
We ain't got no lobster prisons.
Jesus Christ. So okay, and then so they I guess established that there was no prison in the entire state of Florida that could accommodate someone who occasionally needs a wheelchair.
This is in Pennsylvania, actually. This is the first murder.
No, there are more. I guess it wouldn't be murders otherwise. huh?
Hey, so it's only two, and one of them actually is coming up here.
Okay.
I
I thought we were done with this. I was
no, there's one more.
Getting-
There's
okay,
there's
all right.
another thing. But this is my last topic. So Styles quit drinking for a minute after the trial.
probably terms of his probation, I
Right.
would imagine.
Long enough to remarry his first wife, Mary Teresa, who had
Oh, he had a previous wife. I missed
the one
that
that
part.
left him to marry Harry Glenn Newman, the
Oh.
smallest man in the world.
So he had. Oh my God.
Right? So he woos her back after the trial somehow. This is some Florida shit. They're fucking in they're in Gibsonton by now. Because by 1992 when this all hits ahead, they're living in Gibsonton. So
Okay.
after his probation, I'd imagine. So what was this?
So when did the first
1978,
murder
88?
happen?
Even before. Yeah, okay. So the first murder happens in 1978 in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Right? So 78, 88.
Yeah, to 92.
So
Yeah, only 14 years.
14 years. So he probably got off of probation, or he got allowed to move on
Yeah,
probation.
he might have gotten early
The documentation
probation.
isn't
If
clear.
it's 19, or I mean,
Regardless.
sorry, if 14 years of a 15-year probation, he could have easily gotten a year knocked off.
Probably with his connections in the various sideshows, being from a legacy family of fucking freak shows, he was able to move to Gibsonton.
I would imagine he just got done with probation. They said, you can have a year off.
But I'm saying, like, in general, moving down to Gibsonton
Right.
is probably because he either had friends or family or old associates or
That would have been a worse punishment than you can stay here in Pittsburgh with 15 years of probation.
Well, going down to
Should've
sunny,
said-
beautiful Florida outside of Tampa?
Pittsburgh's a way cooler town than I would imagine.
Not if you're a
Gibsonton
fucking
is.
lobster.
Did the rest of his body morph into a whole lobster during this time? I missed that.
There's only one place worse for a lobster: Bar Harbor, Maine.
Jesus Christ.
Sorry, I was on a roll.
God damn it. Stop.
What?
You were on a roll?
Yeah,
I fucking
I
hate
was on a
you.
lobster roll.
I got the joke.
Gotcha. So anyway, so he quit drinking. He got Mary Teresa to come back with him. They all moved to Gibsonton, and then he started drinking again because he's a piece of shit. And the family claimed that he became even more abusive. And we're talking about situations where, like, what he would be like, I've killed before, I'll kill again, beat the shit out of his fucking disabled children and shit. And like, there's even one instance where like Mary Teresa reported to waking up to a knife at her throat, and fucking Harry shit-faced, or his name Gary, shit-faced Gary is just like,
oh shit-faced Gary.
He just like, he says like, one day I'm gonna kill your whole fucking family.
Jesus Christ.
Then he like naked slithers off the bed into the shadows. And I'm not making that up. That was what she said. He fucking slithered away.
He wasn't a small man. He was a portly fellow.
Yeah, and fucking greasy. And I'm just picturing the sound.
Is Gibsonton, is that inland? You said it's by Tampa?
Yeah, it's not very far inland. You probably get to the beach in like 30 minutes.
So it's near the water.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's probably where he was going when he slithered out of the bed. He's just the sounds of him slithering onto what I imagine is a 1990s carpet.
I was hoping it was on the water. I was gonna find an Old Bay joke.
I just figure
there's an Old Bay right there.
Sliding off the bed, just covered in butter. Just,
oh my God. He just sleeps in a giant vat of drawn butter.
You guys see what we're doing here? We're allowed to make fun of this guy and his disabilities because he's a piece of shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't feel bad.
I'm not making fun of his kids. I'm making fun of this fuck.
I will not make fun of anybody else with this particular birth defect going on. But I'm going to make fun of this guy, not because he's got whatever the fuck. I'm making fun of him because he's an asshole who just happens to have lobster claws for hands.
Yeah, fuck this guy.
He could have regular hands and do this, and I'm going to make fun of him. He could not have hands, and I'm going to make fun of him.
He really steams me up, you know?
You got to stop, too.
What? I mean, what?
Nothing.
Everybody likes a good lobster tail.
Mm-hmm. You wrote these down, didn't you? I see you.
No, this is. I'm just.
I see you flicking through.
My brain's just kind of click-clacking, you know, like claws. Just.
This is too many stupid ones.
Whatever, you know. Maybe he wouldn't have been so abusive if they put those fucking rubber bands on him. So, anyway, in 1992, Teresa, together with her son from a previous marriage, won Harry Glenn Newman Jr.
Okay.
Harry Glenn Newman looms large in this legend.
Harry Glenn, is that what you said?
Harry Glenn Newman, the smallest man in the world. He looms large.
His name is Harry
Glenn Newman.
Okay.
Harry.
The other guy's Gary. Well, no, I didn't think his name was Harry.
You know, little Harry Glenn Newman.
It's Harry Glenn
Newman. You never know in Gibsonton.
You never know in the Freakshow episode,
right? No, it's a Gary Grady. Fuck, I keep saying Gary. Grady Stiles is the lobster boy. Mary Teresa Stiles is his covetous first and third wife. Yeah.
And then Harry Glenn
Newman is the smallest man in the world. The Mary Teresa.
The intermediate husband.
But then Teresa with her son, Harry Glenn Newman Jr.
Oh, okay.
Who I believe was proportionate. Like he was like a normal sized person.
Right.
Hires a 17-year-old sideshow performer named Chris Wyant.
To do what?
To kill Grady Stiles for $1,500. Equivalent to $3,200 in
it's still trash. It's still not worth it.
I'll give you a couple grand if you fucking off this lobster fuck.
Oh my God.
So the story is, as Grady Stiles smoked a cigarette while watching television on the sofa, which must have been kind of funny to see, the cigarette thing, just the two fingers.
Oh.
Wyatt entered his home with a semi-automatic pistol and shot him in the head twice, killing him.
Wow.
Stiles was reportedly widely disliked in his community, so much so that only 10 people came to his funeral and nobody volunteered as a pallbearer to carry his coffin.
Wow. So everybody hated. I don't feel bad that this guy shot him. I feel bad that he only took $1,500. He only got $1,500 for it.
The 10 people who attended the funeral were heard to say, "Gobble gooble, not one of us."
That's stupid. Nobody's gonna get that joke. What happened to the kid that shot him?
All right, so Stiles' son, Grady Stiles III, disputes the claim that Mary Teresa had him murdered.
Mm-hmm.
He said, according to him, his mother and father were arguing, and Mary Teresa had said something needs to be done, and then Teresa's son Harry Glenn Newman Jr. overheard it, and then he went to the neighbor and repeated these words. Like, the thing was, Mary Teresa wasn't a part of it, but her son got his buddy to fucking to off Pops there.
Right.
But Mary Teresa was convicted of manslaughter. Harry Newman Jr. was convicted of first-degree murder.
Wow.
Based on these claims.
Life.
He received a life sentence, and Chris Wyant was convicted of second-degree murder.
What?
Even though he was the one who shot him in his fucking head, and received a 27-year-old sentence. 27-year sentence.
He probably got second-degree murder as part of a deal.
Yeah, could have been. But I mean, like, it seems like
I'm willing to bet that he rolled over on the other two.
Could have, I suppose. But I mean, it also could just be something as simple as like, this is an impoverished guy being offered money to do something that could be pushed as coercion.
In the legal system. That doesn't.
You don't know. Freaktown, anything's up for grabs.
Everything.
Forget it, man.
Anything you can grab with two fingers. It's if the stepson who didn't pull the trigger got first degree, then the trigger man getting second degree only makes sense if he flipped on Junior.
No, that would be Dolphin Boy.
I can't listen to this. I can't.
He's a flipper.
Yeah, no,
everyone knows.
God, the joke was just terrible.
So he's dead.
Is he dead?
No, Grady Stiles.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, as soon as that kid shot him, I would imagine.
Ooh, external links on this website are Grady Stiles. Find a grave.
Do we want to tell everybody where he's married? Where he's buried?
Outside of Gibsonton, Florida.
Really?
Yep. Who'd have thunk it?
What's the name of the?
Oh my God! Do you think that's the coolest fucking cemetery you ever saw in your life?
Whoa.
Yo.
That's a good one.
Is that a road show?
That's a well, and that leads me beautifully into the sign off for the show, and we will see you guys next week with hopefully a more joyous and fun topic.
Should we fucking go to Gibsonton? I mean, like, I think it's weird to go to like just ogle at like the people who live there, but they do have like a show, like a sideshow museum, and some other like cultural artifacts there that could be really fucking interesting.
I think that's almost certainly gonna happen.
It's 3 hours from here.
Yeah. Anyway, it was good to talk to you guys.
Hey, thanks for tuning in.
And we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for signing on to the podcast with us jerks, and goodbye.
You're such a piece of shit.
That's the sign off, right?
Hey guys, thank you for listening to our episode on freaks. Is that what we're gonna call it?
Freak shows.
Freak
shows, because specifically,
oddities.
Yeah. No, I think freak shows is okay because that's really what we were focusing on.
Okay.
Because again, there would be the freak performer who is a human being, and then the freak, which is the character, and the freak show would be exhibiting the character.
Whatever we name it. Thanks for listening to it.
Goo guys and gidgets.
Gross.
Peeny vagini.
Peeny vagini. Siamese twins banging.
If you got the Siamese twins and the United twins together, then you got a show.
I'd pay good money for that.
Except they were like probably 100 years apart, so
probably
less money, more money.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I hope that you guys will please get onto Apple Podcasts, give us 5 stars.
If you don't fucking get on Apple Podcasts.
We are also on what is it? The social medias, Facebook.
The social medias.
Facebook. We're on Instagram. We are on Threads. You can find us on all of those under Delete Everything Podcast.
On Threads recently, Dave Foley liked a comment I made, and I fucking came.
There's like 8 people who are on their deathbeds who know who Dave Foley is.
That is absolutely untrue. Dave Foley is a fucking wizard of entertainment and an institution unto himself.
Canadian entertainment, though, that you have to.
If you've never
that's
seen,
a caveat we need to know about.
Tell me this: have you ever seen The Wrong Guy with Dave Foley?
No.
We have to watch that together because it's one of the best fucking movies ever made.
I do know who Dave Foley is.
Dave Foley's he's a fucking wizard.
Okay.
I'm a big fan.
Like
would have been cool to see
cast Fireball.
No, it's not like that. He could maybe.
I'm gonna go on his threads right now and just send cast Fireball.
I don't know. Dave Foley is just like
cast Magic Missile.
He just gets better looking with age, I feel.
Does he? I haven't seen him.
He's a real
all.
silver fox now.
I haven't seen him.
He's always the cute one, and now like he's like. You know.
He was the little cherub face.
Yeah.
A little cherub face.
Yeah, he always looked fucking insane.
Anyway, we have Facebook, Instagram threads, all under Delete Everything Podcast. We also have Patreon. We are going to be rolling all this stuff out weekly. We'll do weekly short episodes, usually like 30, 45-minute episodes on just random topics. And it's just kind of, it's less edited. It's more conversational. It's
easy breezy, baby.
Yeah, it's a little more raw. Riley drops the N-word constantly.
Wow.
I think.
Wow.
He's got some really, really, we're going to call them interesting thoughts on the Israeli state.
Yeah. Yeah, human choice is a construct. There's no such thing as time.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyway, I fucking join our Patreon. Those, it's not, it's very affordable, very affordable Patreon page. $2 and that's, I think $2 a week. Yeah.
$2, yeah, $2 a week, cool.
Something like that.
That's only $8 a month.
It's $2 a week, man. $8 a month now sounds like more.
It does sound like it's $2
a week. Yeah.
If we cut it down into days, that's like what's 7 divided by 2?
For the price of less than a cup of coffee, you can
feed these middle-aged men.
Well, you can also fund some of the bigger projects that we want to do. As a matter of fact, on this episode, we talked about doing because we want to do a video pod, Patreon only.
Yeah, and we
probably release one like every couple of months.
We want to do some traveling shows. There's a bunch of really cool, interesting shit around where we live. Yeah. We live this is a history podcast, and we live in the oldest continuously occupied European settlement in the contiguous United States.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a bunch of cool historical shit in our area.
That's a lot of fucking a lot of adjectives.
It's you hear a quick, we can say it.
Yeah,
because like I really don't want to say oldest city in America.
No, because
the dumbest shit.
It's incorrect.
Yeah, it's the oldest continuously occupied European settlement.
I say permanently settled, but yeah, same diff.
I said permanently settled.
You said continuously.
Continuously.
Yeah, the oldest permanently settled European colony in the United States, in the contiguous U.S. I guess just in the whole U.S. Is there any other? Probably somewhere in the Caribbean.
Yeah, probably. No, maybe.
Yeah.
Do they have the Caribbean?
One of the lesser Antilles, who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. Some shit like that.
But yeah, we want to do that. That's going to involve some production stuff and video,
we want to take a trip out to
nature.
Showman's Rest Cemetery and pay our respect. I'm serious. I really want to go.
I do too. I'm serious too. We have some even more ambitious plans that only happen like if you guys really, really, really fucking love us. So if you want to show us some love that way, join our Patreon. If you want to just, I don't know, fucking Venmo us, we can. Let's set up a Venmo, baby.
Out of this particular episode, I would really like it if we got some feedback on whether or not you liked the heavier side of the historical context, or you want us to keep doing like just slapdash dick and fart jokes. Yeah, because we can do either or is fine. I don't have to give you any human context at all. I could have just been like, this guy was a bowling ball, blah blah blah.
I think that I personally, and I guess it depends on what the people who listen to us like best, I like that we kind of switch back and forth. Like we will have episodes that are a little bit more heavy on the historical end, but then I think we're pretty good about making sure that we do something that's a little more whimsical and fun, and we can do the fart jokes. I saw a gator having
sex with a Sasquatch.
Yeah, we do have Cryptids 2 coming up soon.
Oh yeah, Cryptids 2 is going to be fun.
Another
Cryptids 2 Electric Rougarou.
I think Cryptids 2 should probably be the next one because
you want to do.
We need a fun. We need a fun.
I mean, yeah, we're here at launch. You know, we're getting kind of battle hardened here.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So
yeah, this one was super fucking heavy. So
But anyway, that'll be it for us for this episode, and thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.